gamers? Welcome back to my first bang on the table for Phil, and welcome back to Red Seal Roundup. I had to do it, Phil. I'm sorry.
We're back.
We're back, people. We're back.
We're back.
I am Dan, the Primarch of Red Seal Gaming. I'm here with my buddy Sal.
Greetings.
And my buddy Chris.
Hello. Hello, good gamers.
We had a bit of a hiatus. I think it was approximately 8 months. 9
Since
months?
December.
Yeah, going after the old video, looking
Going
at
after
what
the
was
video.
on YouTube. So
For those not in the know, we had moved to a new store. There was no ample space. We tried to do some things. COVID got in the way. Life got in the way. We decided to take a break. I told the guys we'll wait until we find optimal space, and
we found it. You found it.
We found optimal space. So you can see we have a bigger table, bigger studio. We got plenty of room. We got plenty of cameras, and we're back in business.
We have returned.
Return of the roundup.
We have returned.
Return of the roundup. Bigger, better, stronger, faster. Bionic Man. Anyone? $6 million
Yeah.
Man. $6 million Man. I know.
I've never seen an episode.
Oh God, I'm old as fuck.
Those you want to watch intros. Those
Somebody
are
out there
real
knows
intro.
what I was referencing.
Yeah.
Please.
Well,
put
then
it-
there was the $6 million woman.
Yeah, which was, I mean, she was cool too.
Yeah.
But it was,
Best part about those scenes is when they used to like open him up. It was kind of like Luke Empire
Oh,
Strikes Back
yes.
with
Full
like
Luke's
his, like,
forearm.
motorized little.
Technically, they probably did that first, right? That was before. No, 70s. No.
I bet before '77, that was
Right.
the TV show. Easy.
Easy,
You
so,
know.
all right.
I mean, I was probably like 2, like 75.
Like I can hear the sound in my head. Like I know the like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I've never seen
And
a
to
single
slow
episode.
the video down with
Full
that-
70s
make him-
chorus in there,
Right,
like you know, like
exactly.
strings.
Well, we're digressing, but this is what happens when we. This is why the Red Seal Roundup was born.
We're
Because
back.
we are the masters of bullshit. We can
Yes.
talk about anything and go off on a tangent in a hurry. But what we want to do is get people up to speed on what's new at RSG since
What
the
we
last time.
missed, like all of the things that have happened in that
all
8
that,
months.
all that stuff we couldn't talk about because we didn't have a show.
No.
We got to squeeze it in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, don't mind you, we definitely bullshitted about it in between those 8 months.
Absolutely.
We just couldn't give
We
it to
ju-
you.
we just,
you know,
you
so.
just didn't have the joy of witnessing it.
And and if we miss something, make sure you tell us because we'll talk about it next time.
Yeah.
Yes, because we're gonna need more content for
Leave it in the comments below.
Leave a like,
Link.
subscribe, hit that bell icon.
Oh my God! Link in the description below. Is that how you say it, Phil? Please answer me in my head. There he is. Okay, good.
Awesome.
Phil is now in my head at all times, so that's very comforting to me. So I just want everybody to know that
He lives there rent free.
he lives there rent free.
If we see you do the whole, if you do
there's
the whole,
there's a lot of space.
if we see you do the whole Lobot thing and just like, then we know what's
I
happening.
could do that.
Phil's
I
in
could,
your head.
I could turn it like sideways.
You got his head
I
for
got
shit
the head,
sure.
I
You
got
got
the whole
Lobot's head.
I just grew some facial hair, right? So I could just like wake up and then put the lights on the side. We could do the whole Lobot thing.
We'll get some blinky lights on the side.
On the
still.
side. Yeah, oh my! All right, well,
That'd be awesome.
We'll leave that. We won't. Good thing Phil's mic is only in my head because I don't want everybody to hear that. But that's going to be fantastic when he does it. All right, so
Where do we begin?
there's so much. You want to start with minis? You want to start with card games? You want to start with just
Let's jump into card games because there's so much of it.
Plenty
to,
of
like,
'em.
To
okay.
to divulge.
All right,
So what's
well,
been going on in Magic?
What's been going on? Whoa!
I mean, it's a small little card game, right? There's not
we
much
only
going
have, how
on.
much
I
we
mean,
got? How much time do we got?
how much could have happened in 8
How long
months?
is the show?
Yeah. Small IP. They don't expand. They don't do any of that stuff.
Stop. Listen. Don't get under my skin. Okay. I love Magic. I've always loved Magic. It's been there forever. To me, it's the most versatile card game there is, and probably ever will be. You can always just make stuff. But that being said, the last couple of months, one of the things we missed was Kamigawa with the collector boosters, and they took some neon and they slapped it on a card, and they made the cards worth $1,300.
And they printed money.
And they printed money.
Pretty much.
And we
Liquid
gobbled
gold.
them up, complaining the whole time, but we gobbled them up like candy. They are still going for, and I mean, I'll look it up as I'm talking, but they're still over $1,000. The problem I have with it is the cards have no value in the game. The standard version of the card is worth probably like 25 cents, and it is absolutely a non-desirable card. So we fell for it hook, line, and sinker as a community. We started chasing this card very much like they do in Pokemon.
Oh, they learned from Pokemon, right?
Yep.
Think about it.
It's a new shiny. We started chasing it. So the next set was the Capenna set, and there was no chasing it. And they're still on my shelf.
But I would say the gold foil etching on that Capenna set was one of the most beautiful treatments of a Magic card I've ever seen.
Yes. It did not have the same effect because it was still relatively a common. You could actually have it on a common card, too. It was common, uncommon. They
Probably worthless.
Yeah.
But it
looked fantastic. It absolutely strike.
It's the visual, like,
a good
flair.
visual, and also something new, not just a new crazy foil or whatever. It looked really good. But lo and behold, in the desert of Tatooine, they have found Lost Legends boxes. So the legends from back in the 90s have been found in a warehouse somewhere in a desert.
Yeah, Richard Garfield had them in the back of his garage.
So they say.
I know the doubters and I know the naysayers. I have seen it. I'm sure. Just real quick, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be. They opened all these pallets. I don't know how many. They have never discussed how many. There are cards ranging from commons all the way up to the Tabernacle, which is $5,000. They are not reprints. They are legitimate, according to them, first printings of the Legend set.
Until someone forensically cuts the cardboard and like carbon dates
the paper.
Dude, someone's going to do that.
It's going to happen.
There'll be some scientific, YouTube video of them dissecting.
I actually look forward to it.
You could definitely do chromatography on the ink and find out what's in the ink.
What's in the ink and how dated it is, right? So
it's a big time jump too. You're talking not just like 3 years ago.
No,
you're talking
20,
the beginning of
almost 30 years, which is also something else that's coming up, the 30th anniversary of Magic. But real quick to finish off the topic with these chases on the collector's boosters is they're assaulting collector booster only with cards that they open from these Legends. So somebody could pull a completely useless 1 penny card from Legends, or someone can pull a $5,000 card. So they actually put lottery tickets in 3% of packs. They're estimating to be 1 Legends card in a pack in every 3 collector booster boxes.
So
roughly,
boxes, not cases.
Boxes, not cases. So every 3 boxes. So theoretically, mathematically, 2 per case is what we're talking.
Is it only in set, draft,
only in
collector?
Only in collector. Okay, so it's a pure lottery ticket. We've already seen price increases just based on that. Dominaria United also sees a price increase across the board from WotC.
That's the most recent set coming out now.
Which comes out this Friday. We're having pre-release in the store. It comes out this Friday, and we're going to have an 11% price increase. So that coupled with interest because somebody wants to get a scratch-off ticket. That's basically what this is. Can they continue this pace? Obviously not. They're not going to just keep finding stuff.
I was going to say they got to find some onslaught
in the desert, right?
Find Ice Age.
It doesn't. I mean, there's again, we got to check the carbon dating or whatever. I have already watched box openings. People are pulling them, and as somebody who's been playing a Magic a long time, just the eye test of seeing the cards, they look like Legends cards.
It's going to be a cool feeling to open it because we opened those packs.
Mm-hmm. The ink looks different. The cut of the card looks different. The guy I watched opening it, he's been playing for like 24 years. He knows what it's like.
It's kind of the same feeling too when you get a card from the list, right? Like you automatically feel its
nostalgia,
offsetness of what you're currently in. It's like, oh wow, look at this card.
Frame.
But this one's going to look different because the list cards are still like the new ink, the new high res printers.
This is cuts.
This is going to look
it
legitimately different.
I mean, especially in the collector booster, it looks totally different.
Dull. It's not as crisp.
You can see it.
The
digital. As soon as I'm watching the box opening, bang! You knew right away. He was like, oh, this. He even knew like from the side, like there's a Legend card in here. He knew right away. So that's what's going on in Magic. It's a constant ebb and flow. I personally think change is always good.
I think you skipped Modern Horizons?
I skipped Modern Horizons, and I also skipped Double Masters.
Yeah.
Double Masters is money. I mean, we know what it is. Everybody it's in the Magic, they know what's out there. The uniqueness for me was what's going on currently with Dominaria, because the other thing that's going on with Dominaria is they are trying to do a what's called Jumpstart. Dominaria Jumpstart. So every set going forward, unless things change, just like there was going to be a core set, and then there's no more core sets, they always change their mind. There's going to be Jumpstart, which I think is great, because Jumpstart personally is probably the best product they've ever created, other than the original game itself.
For new people learners.
I was a huge fan of it.
You made a cube, right?
It was so simple. I made a cube of it. It was good times.
You could turn it into just a quick game. It's not a whole.
It's a board game at that point.
It's a board game.
Like my My Gamegenic container is a board game.
Yep.
It just so happens to be also Magic.
And as a store owner, at least once a week, I get the, hey, I never played Magic before. How do I play? Jumpstart.
Gateway.
Hey,
it's your gateway
I
system.
haven't played in a long time. What's going on? Jumpstart.
Get back into it.
You know, I mean, obviously Commander is the more popular format, especially in our store, but Jumpstart is just really, it's aptly named. It makes sense to what it does. It jumps, you know, it jumps your start into playing again or into playing for the first time. It's
the learning curve for a new player to start Commander with 100 cards and all the effects and stuff. Even a pre-made.
Dude, you can open a booster box of Magic and not be able to make a deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
you spend $140 or even more, depending on the set, and not be able to make a viable deck.
And it's pre-seeded with mana.
Yeah, so
that pack, so it's like it has
spend-
its own built-in. You don't got to worry that I put too much mana.
So let's
Is it
spend
too little mana?
$20 instead, and get 2 packs, and be able to interchange them with your buddy. Your buddy buys a pack, 2 packs. You buy 2 packs. You play a game. Well, that was great. Then you swap it again, and you got a couple of permutations.
Bunch of different combinations.
Yes. Again, the versatility of Magic, which is why I love it. So.
And we also have some bigger stuff coming into Magic soon,
Yes.
like the Warhammer deal with
Oh my
Warhammer
goodness.
IP with just the Commander decks.
The IP infringement that's been going on since it started with, I think is what really drove everybody crazy, was the Walking Dead when it first happened with Secret Lair.
Secret Lair, like 2 or 3. It was only a handful of cards, less than
The pebble is becoming a snowball. Is
Yes.
becoming a boulder.
Well, they constantly, it goes back to,
IP Avalanche.
the Commander product testing us with neon cards, and now they're testing us with new IPs.
They
First,
knew
the
it worked with
Walking Dead.
Pokemon. Right now, they're like, all right, the IPs are going to just fold right in. Let's bring Warhammer. Let's bring Lord of the Rings. Doctor Who was announced.
Oh, my God, Doctor. I'm a big fan. I can't wait. I'm going to be playing that music in the store when that set releases. People are going to be dressed up. I don't know which Doctor. I'm trying to figure out which Doctor I'm going to dress up
I
as.
love the scarf guy with
I think that was
the curly
yeah,
curls with the hat.
because we
I
grew
know
up
which
with him.
doctor. I'm
We
not a
grew up.
doctor.
We grew up with him, so it's like maybe I'll even get a Dalek in the store. That'd be amazing. But,
Exterminate.
yeah. There's so much you can do, right? And I love doing that, especially during the pre-releases. I try to get like a theme going and get people into it and whatever. But this 40K is, that's the peanut butter and the chocolate.
Just Commander decks, though. We're not talking packs here.
Especially you
It's
and I,
Commander.
we've heavily played 40K in the past. Chris has always kind of dabbled, but
Just
he
IP,
knows of it.
Space
He
Marines,
obviously knows of
Tyranids,
it.
Chaos.
Yeah.
All the themed soul rings from each faction were some fantastic art.
I'm not too happy about the Soul Ring part, but it is what it is. Yeah. Those promos will disappear. They're not going to be at the store, so don't bother coming. Go somewhere else.
Fish in the dumpster, guys. That's where they'll be.
Go somewhere else. If you want to start a fire, there'll be kindling in my backyard. Anyway, the Commander product is going to have the new symbol in the hollow on the bottom. It's
Triangle,
like a
right?
triangle,
Upside down triangle.
Upside down triangle. So I guess they're trying to differentiate the product. It is only Commander product. Maybe someday it could go deeper. I guess they were just trying to see.
Right? Sales would always dictate what.
If it blows up, which it might, because on the Discord I put out a little announcement that I'm curious to see how many people would be interested in. And within 3 or 4 hours, I had 40-something people agree to it. I just checked it again last night because I had an opportunity to order a couple more. And
they've spoiled more cards, right?
They've spoiled
so
more cards, and it's approached 100 people interested in said product. Because, as you know, we do Warhammer in-store. So we have a lot of people that have cross interests.
Two of the biggest footprints in the store are Warhammer and Magic.
Yes, exactly. So,
and then they just recently spoiled at one of their newer events that they had that online event where they showed a lot of the
Wizards Presents,
which we got D&D side of it, which we'll talk about later, but also Lord of the Rings spoilers. How they have that new borderless art frame where it's like multiple cards will make one giant piece of art.
like a giant piece of art, and
that's cool.
Which looks fantastic.
And Lord of the Rings is a standard set, so they're going even. There goes the next. That's the next step.
What do you think the reason is that some sets are getting the treatment of this is a one-off, and some sets are getting this thing like we're going to make this standard and potentially go back to this plane? Like, is it to deal with the IP? Is it to deal with they think a planeswalker fits in Middle Earth?
I think the fantasy element of Lord of the Rings lends to obviously where Magic gets its ideas originally from Lord of the Rings, right? Like Tolkien is really the forefront of that fantasy kind of like, hey, I got a 2/2 dwarf, you know what I mean? Like there's a 1/1 green elf with, tappable for trees. That comes from him, so I feel like that lends more. I think 40K is the really big test of like now you're bringing in.
Can you bring sci-fi in?
Can we really bring sci-fi? I mean,
and they already dabbled a little bit with Kamigawa. Kamigawa had like a Blade Runner feel to it. So this is,
Yeah.
I guess a logical step.
It's that mixing of like tech and I mean they did it with Kaladesh where you have a little clockwork. Tech is pushing the boundaries of magic with
Yeah.
mechanical,
Almost steampunky.
almost steampunky, but it's more magic infused. So I think there's that threshold. Look, if the 40K was to give them big money, they already talked about the Star Wars is not off the table. If that came to the table and it was feasible to just make a one-off set or however they would do it. So I think, like you said, there could be that IP avalanche, but I think it's how popular it's going to be sale-wise for them, and they look at those numbers and go, hey.
Well, they did the safe bet like they always do. They probably only going to print a certain amount of it. They're only doing commander decks because it is the most popular format in the game right now. And to add a little extra spice to it, they're doing some full foil sets, which are ridiculously priced.
Are those like collectors?
They're the
40K
collector version of it, of the 40K.
commanders.
They're going to be probably over $120 a deck.
But I think it's revisitable, like you said. I think
They
you
are
could
supposed
go-
to be $30 a deck or
Well,
$40
that's-
a deck. Yeah.
Well, it also depends if there's one card that everybody wants in there that you could live with being, a Terminator or a Hive Tyrant and it could fit in your commander. Like, if you could use that outside and it become, there's always this one commander deck. Why is there 7 of them on there? Because it just wasn't the other 3 decks that really, were the draw. But I think, like you said, even a Lord of the Rings set is revisitable. You can go back to it. You can go to different eras. I mean, the TV show is going to come out. It's got to be coinciding with the Ring of Power is going to be on TV, the TV show. So let's capitalize on that.
And Magic stems from Tolkien. So
Yeah, I think
D&D stems from Tolkien. Magic stems from Tolkien. So why not go?
Doctor
to-
Who, I think, would be really tough to go deep on. I mean, people are fans of it, but I don't know how far they. I mean, they can obviously give you all the Doctors as different cards and stuff. So
Doctor Who, I mean, timeline-wise, it goes from like the beginning of man all the way to the future. So
I mean, they could give you anything
they
they
can really
want there.
truly give you anything with Doctor Who. So that's a whole nother. But yeah, so Magic is just pretty much in flux. It's really just a lot going on.
And
right
did
now.
Magic announce that they're going to go back to doing big events? Like they're having a big event in Las
in
Vegas?
Las
is that true?
Vegas? Well, this is for the 30th anniversary. This big event. I guess it could turn into more Pro Tour because they were talking about doing the Pro Tour with Pioneer, though, not with Standard, which I think is a safe move. I've been trying to get Pioneer to go off in the store, and we only have about 6 people. I've been giving it. I'm literally giving away money
For people to play it.
for people to play it, and it still has not grasped hold. Now I don't know. It's meta, right? What goes on in your store might not be going on in
Any other store.
my store, and so on and so forth. So I'm not about to claim I know exactly how to fix anything in any particular game. But in what I could see in our crowd is I breed non-competitive play most of the time. I would prefer my players just to have fun on a daily basis. If you want to throw down and you want to have, the big event, we'll do that. And then that's when we flip the switch and you bring your A game, bring your meta deck, bring the deck that is going to stomp or roll face and hang with the best. I'm okay with competition. It's not that I'm not. But I don't want it on a daily basis. I think it breeds a little too much of a hostile atmosphere. I'd prefer just casual play. Have some fun. Do some wacky stuff. Enjoy the company. Enjoy the store, so on and so forth. When you want to throw down, we will. I think that just Pioneer, the format itself, brings out competitive play on a regular basis. And that's why it's not taking hold at Red Seal. I mean, I could be wrong. People could tell me otherwise.
That could be a discussion for a whole nother show.
But
the
judging-
standard, the formats in Magic and why they are, dying off or people just don't seem interested in them. How do you resurrect them? How do you breathe life into them? I mean, there's no support from, Wizards tells you, Pioneer, we want you to play it in the store. Do they give you anything that's specifically Pioneer oriented, whereas they cater to other things? Could they make promos that are like, hey, we thought these are Pioneer cards,
Yeah,
obviously.
they can do that. They've actually done Pioneer Challenger decks. Challenger decks are, hey, I want to get into the scene. I really don't know how to build a deck. Here you go. It's good to go. Out the box. It's competitive. Right out of the box. Mostly, of course. That's all.
You could always tweak it.
You could tweak it, whatever, but it's like, hey, you haven't played in a while, whatever, or you could pick up a deck and you could just jump in. But again, I still think it's the competitive nature of pioneer, and in the manner in which we play it, that because there's no casual. What's the last time you saw? You guys been coming to the store since I opened. All right. How many times have you seen somebody playing 60 card Magic in the store?
Is it? I always question. I mean, I don't know if this is a conversation we want to get into now. We do have a lot to cover.
Yeah.
But like, is it the speed of the game? Mind you, the cards and the rotation, all that. But is it the fact that like
Is
when
it
four
too-
guys
it's too
sit?
fast?
That's what I mean. Is it too like, all right, we played 4 games, like, and like, I mean, obviously, if you're a Pioneer player, you don't just come with one deck, right? You have multiple decks you want to try out.
Most likely. Yeah.
But is it because of the speed is so quick? When you sit down with 4 people and play a Commander game, you know you're tied into a good, hour plus
At least an
of
hour,
like
probably, yeah.
sitting down and playing. Is it the fact that it's over too quick a problem? Like
Maybe, but that's the way Magic's been played since it began. So why is it a problem?
We discussed not too long ago how we used down in the basement. We would have big 6 or 7 man commander games that would last 5
6
hours.
hours.
Like we would show up at 7 and we wouldn't leave until like 3 in the morning, and we played a game.
A game.
Yeah, one.
And then I would go to the basement, and we would play 12 games in an hour
In an hour.
Of a 60
of
card.
60 card. Magic.
of 60 card Magic.
Yeah. And multiple decks.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, you've got me 3 times in a row. Let me switch out
me
and try
switch it up.
something
Here's my
different.
black red, vampire deck. Here you go, have fun.
And that's what I prefer, honestly. But like I said, I've been open for 2 years. I probably can count on one hand how many times I have seen 60 card Magic played in the store. Like 2 guys come, 2 Magic players come in and sit down and play just a 60 card Magic. Other than the modern guys. The modern guys do, but they only come on Monday. And they do their thing and they leave. And then they go probably to one of the other stores, because I know we timed our modern events to not
Coincide
with the other stores, so the players can go to the other stores because they want to play modern. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. It helps the other stores, it helps me, and it helps the players. So it's a win-win for everybody. But I don't see anybody playing modern in the store except on Monday.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of games that you say never get played in the store, but maybe they will.
Ooh.
Don't
Transition time
Segue.
to Pokemon. So here's a small little story of a man who owns a game store who actually opened and played some Pokemon not too long ago. How did that go, Dan?
That did not happen. Okay.
Well, that was always the
No,
myth.
no.
Like, we see people buy Pokemon.
And they never play it.
We
right?
never see
But-
anyone playing
wait. The
Pokemon.
ways Chris described it did not happen. I did not open some Pokemon. I
opened everything.
I opened one of everything
Yeah.
we had in the store because I had the bug. I was in it.
It's easy to find out why it's so successful,
I
right?
was easy. It's very. I mean, I've always eyed and I've always seen the shiny and I always seen that. But what I did was, first of all, I approached it as a businessman, right? Which is really just an excuse to play a kid's game. Of course, yes. Just pretty much anything I do in the store is an excuse to play a kid's game. That's why I open the store, because I want to have fun.
Kids
right?
at heart. Kids at heart.
Never stop gaming. Okay, but that being said, I, as a businessman, said I'm going to learn how to play Pokemon, so I know how to sell it better and how to make it better for the community and this, that, and so I could actually know what the hell the numbers meant on the card. Because all these years, I didn't know what they mean. I still.
Yeah. There's a lot of text. It's a
I
wall
did not know what
of,
they
a wall
meant,
of
right?
symbols.
So-
and
For a game for 6-year-olds, it's got a lot of reading and math.
It does. It does.
More
Okay.
so than Magic
So
cards.
I'm
when
like,
they
all
do the
right,
front, but go ahead.
but who to show me how to play? Right. I really don't know that many people that play it. Those that do might be hiding in the crevices and don't want to reveal that they're Pokemon heads or whatever. So somebody suggested that I go and play the online version. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what I tell people to do with Magic all the time. Go play Arena. Go play against Sparky, and it has a good tutorial, and you'll get a basic grasp of the game. So I did that. I went home and I did it's like 5 stages.
6 or 7
6
stages,
or
yeah.
something like that. And it was not difficult, and it was interesting, and I had fun. And I'm like, wow, this was fun, and the cards look cool, and blah, blah, blah. So I go to the store. I think it was a Sunday. I think my wife she wasn't feeling so well. She went to bed a little early. I was like, all right, babe, I'm going to go. I usually don't go on Sundays. It's usually my day off, unless we're having an event. I'm going to go to the store and hang out with the guys. She's like, all right, honey, I'll see you later. But I go to the store, and I calmly go to the counter and just start grabbing an ETB, and I open it. And the next thing I know, there is a pile of empty garbage bags that are no longer empty.
Recycling nightmare, by the way.
Because-
the amount of packaging that comes with Pokemon. Let's not talk from an environmental issue, but still, it was.
The next thing we know, Eric is taking the garbage out for the 3rd time.
Oh, dude.
because there's so much
Yeah.
packaging
Well, now, wait.
and wrappers
Now, this is the thing.
and
It
plastic.
wasn't just me.
Oh
No.
no! It's,
Everybody saw me doing it. And
My
they're like,
son,
Dan,
you did.
you're
I
playing
I
Pokemon?
was all through it.
You're opening Pokemon?
Yeah.
Why are you opening Pokemon? You're going to sell? No, I learned how to play. I want to learn how. I want to learn these cards. I want to see what's going on. Blah, blah, blah. So I dove in. I literally just kept going up to the counter and like, I didn't open that yet. I didn't open that yet. Oh, look at that Cleavor box. Oh, look at that. Here's another ETB. I
Candy
didn't have
store.
that.
It's like a
I
candy
opened the
store.
pencil case.
Then this guy opens the pencil case.
Yeah.
Then he opens the the lunchbox.
The lunchbox.
And you show me that the ETB fits inside the lunchbox. So
With-
I immediately run to the
with
counter
the pencil
to
case.
buy the pencil case and the lunchbox.
all
And
fit in a lunchbox, and I'm walking around. This is fantastic.
was-
And I
it
felt
was
like
a-
I was 7 years old, but I didn't care. 'cause
It
I
was
knew
an
how to play.
organizational dream for
It
Chris.
was.
Chris saw that.
It's
and I'm just
OCD heaven. The
I-
cards are beautiful. The
I
game
was
is
shaking.
fun.
I want you to know I was shaking. I was very close to like I'm not getting involved. I'm not getting involved. Oh my god!
and
if
then
it fits in there.
people were coming up to me asking me if I was okay. Like, what is happening? You know. And the next thing I know, we had 8 garbage bags full.
Yeah.
By the
Eric.
way, Pokemon. Environmentally, we got to
Yeah.
talk.
No,
Those
it's
boxes are
it's
crap.
that one 4 packs. There's enough cardboard for 4
Oh,
packs.
it was. I was like,
and
oh
plastic.
my god. I mean, I complain about Magic all the time. Pokemon's got. They're the
best
bigger
part was
culprit.
your
They're a
nephew,
bigger culprit.
Eric, your nephew Eric, walked past after he just took out multiple bags,
And the
He's
bag
like,
was full
What?
again.
Why is this? What just happened?
What just-
like literally,
And everybody's
moments
like,
walking
your
up.
uncle, he's opening everything. Oh my
It
god.
was an avalanche. It was
It
pretty
was-
funny.
They definitely packaged to make it more appealing for a gift.
Oh, it does. Absolutely.
It looks so much cooler on the shelf, but you really are getting like 6 packs, and you're getting half a trash bag full of garbage.
Probably could have
It
made
is-
another 6 packs
And
of
you
cards
can
for
see
the
everything in that box. Those what do they call those boxes?
box. The V boxes.
The V box. So like, you're seeing all the contents where it's
Or
not
the
hidden
VMAX
inside
box
an
or whatever.
ETB, which is, the visual.
It's great. Listen, the marketing is great. It's been wearing on my soul since I opened the store. I never played Pokemon before. I played. It was fun. It's lighthearted, which that's what I like. I like fun competition, not always game on competition, which I will do. I said it a million times. I will do it, but I prefer on a daily basis lighthearted fun, and it is that.
Yeah, it's
So-
not my favorite game, but I do enjoy it, and I think
Yeah.
Sal will agree with me that it's the fact that I don't have to worry about you doing anything on my turn.
We love that.
I love being able to do my complete turn and then not have to worry about what you're doing. Yeah, I play my turn as long as I need to, but when my turn is over, then it's yours, and there's no action economy. There's no I'm gonna skip your turn. I'm gonna tell you that you can't do something. It's one of the things that I liked about Flesh and Blood that they've kind of started to like walk away from a little bit, but Pokemon seems to
Never
have
did
made
it.
that their niche.
Still, you're in your
Pokemon
phase. You're in
does not have blue interrupt.
I was gonna say the color of Chris's shirt says much.
and I hate blue interrupt magic.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. I hate Soul Rings and I hate blue. So if you're a blue player, by proxy, I probably dislike you. So just keep that in mind. Don't let me know you play blue or that you like Soul Rings.
But the idea of not interfering with someone's turn, Pokemon has that. Doesn't have it.
Doesn't have it.
Doesn't have
it's
it.
Like,
So
I'm
you-
going.
I'm
All
doing
right,
what
go
I'm
ahead,
doing.
Go. Do your thing.
You go.
I also like how they connected to the video games so tightly.
Yes.
Yes.
You definitely have like cross contamination, like card game and video game and stuff like that, and other IPs. But like your son brings up all the time, just how like interlocked they are. Like there will not be a new TCG set until Violet and Scarlet come out.
Yes.
And when it does, this is when the new set's going to come out. It's going to be a whole new block.
The
and
game, it's almost like the video games broker in the new standards cycles for them. It's really cool. He learned so much of the cards from playing the game. Yeah. Oh, now like he's chasing the card that he saw in the game. So definitely, probably one of the better meshes of both that digital and card game.
Both sides. Like if you come from the card game, you can go to the video game and be like 50% aware of what's going on, and the same thing the other way. So that's great. So I am officially a novice Pokemon player.
But we can no longer say that it doesn't get played in the store because it has been on the table multiple
many,
times.
many times.
Even
on a
by
Yeah,
the owner.
we even had the mini tournament. Remember, you guys opened up the tournament kits.
Yes, so our first official, something I'm very proud of, actually, our first
am, yeah.
official impromptu that night in the craziness, I said, you know what? I happen to have.
tea out, so hold
Let
on.
me get my pinky out.
Let me get my pick. I actually had some pre-release kits in the store, so I was like, "You want to do an impromptu pre-release?" And they were like, "Yeah." I smoked those puppies, man. Let me tell you right now, I'm pretty proud.
You
I
knocked
got-
my son out of his
out of
chair.
his chair.
Oh
And
my
We actually have it
goodness.
on video. My nephew Lucas was being a teenager and he was losing and he wasn't happy about it. So he's slow playing and leaning back in his chair. And his uncle's like, "Lucas, please don't lean back in your chair because you're going to fall." So he's, "No, I'll be fine." So he puts his feet up and then he did this slow-mo backwards fall. We actually have it on the security footage.
Downtown.
And then he fell
Poor Lucas.
backwards, knocked all the Pokemon cards that I just bought onto the floor.
On the back
Table
table.
full of
On
Pokemon
table floor,
cards
on
on
the
the floor.
Probably like $700 worth of Pokemon cards on the floor, and he's on the floor in a laughing stupor.
Yeah. It was
And
a great
he
way to end the
cannot
evening
move.
at that
So
point.
I was just staring at him like because he couldn't get up and he's laughing, and then people come over. His dad comes over and try to help him up, and I'm just standing there,
And he
sitting
didn't-
in there actually in the
And he
chair.
didn't drop his hand. So he's holding
Look,
his
he still
hand like a
had
death
his
grip.
hand.
And I'm like, you didn't drop your hand,
Yeah.
but everything else went
And
over.
then he promptly got up, and then I killed him. So it was great. I killed his last Pokemon. I got my last card, and it was great. We had fun, but
It's
I
just-
won the first official pre-release event
At
well,
RSG.
I guess you should say unofficial pre-release event at RSG. So
And they have a new set coming out, right?
Lost Origin. It's terrible that I know that, but I'm a
and there's-
Pokemon player now. It came. I spit that right out. We had the show a year ago. I would have been. Hold on, let me look it up. What is it?
How do you pronounce Pokemans?
Pokemans. You got them Pokemans. Yeah, no.
Goddamn
I know what it is, and I actually just pre-ordered the next set already. It's terrible. It's unbelievable.
Those
This
are the
set,
last two, though, right?
This set hasn't
Before
hit the
the-
shelf yet, and I'm already pre-ordering the next set.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Well, these are going to be the last two in the Sword and Shield block.
Yes.
Officially, like full skies. They might do another Pokemon Go-esque miniature
between,
set in
yeah.
between or somewhere in there, but these are going to be the last two that are in the Sword and Shield era before next year when rotation happens and all that other nonsense.
So Pokemon's being played, Magic's being played,
We have our other card game.
And we have Flesh and Blood is being played.
Flesh and Blood is being played pretty heavily. I might add.
Since our last show, we've actually had 2 Pro Tours in Flesh and Blood. One of them right here in New Jersey. A lot of the people from the store actually went, had a good time playing there. Found kind of a diverse spread of players. Briar, Chain, Bravo, anybody that plays Flesh and Blood recognizes those names. We just had our second Pro Tour for Flesh and Blood. Top 4, all the same hero.
Where was it?
It was in France. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. It's spelled Lille. I'm going to guess it's Lily.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Lily.
I've now
Apologize for all our French listeners.
I've now made enemies.
Yeah.
But top 4 all were the same hero, which is a little
Disconcerting,
weird.
right? You got to worry when there's balancing issues. Like, okay, we have the meta is, one thing.
Yeah, and we also gotten to the point where over 2 years out of the game that we've now started to get what their version of rotation is. So there is no rotation. All the cards are always legal. There's a few that are banned and restricted here or there, but it comes down to the heroes themselves. If the heroes are too successful, the hero gets the axe, or gets what they call living legend. And they'll have their own kind of like modern format later, but the hero goes away.
Basically retired.
Yeah, I wanted this brings up a weird conundrum because Prism, the light illusionist, just went under the axe, just made the living legend status. She was the only light illusionist. So now there are cards that are gone
From
Fab. They're
can't use
not banned. They're not restricted. But
they don't have a hero.
You can't use them. There's no hero to use them with.
Why did you think that they focused on her, that the illusionist, when there's
She was successful.
Okay, so
That's-
they were
that's
aiming
their
at the.
philosophy.
You get points based on what type of event you win. So if you win a world championship, that hero gets 300 points. That's 30% of the way to retirement. As soon as you get 1,000 points through local events, through
So she won her
national
way
events,
to retirement.
She won her way to retirement. So did the other two, the Bravo star of the show and Chain, which is it's a shadow card, a shadow rune blade. He went living legend. But that means that there are cards in the system that are now blank. And if they don't have or they don't release new heroes in that flavor, those cards are still going to be blank forever.
Yeah, we talked about that conundrum. How do we feel about that rotation system? Is that something that you're like, like you said, diving into? What do they want you to do? They want you to pick up a new hero and buy the card you need to play with that. But like you said, sometimes those card prices are. It's not like you could just jump over and be affordable in that sense. Too.
There's a reason I wanted to talk about Pokemon and Flesh and Blood back to back. I just jumped into Pokemon really, really hard. But all said, if I bought just singles, I probably would have spent like $200-ish, and I have like 6 fun decks. If I spent $200 on a Fab deck, probably would have been half a deck.
Half of that, not even one.
And
yeah.
if I'm a player that's on a budget, if I'm a player that likes a specific hero,
Which
if
most of our players are.
if I'm a die-hard Prism fan, which I'm 100% not, but if I was, and I find out that my character is now gone,
in the pasture.
and half my cards that are Light Illusionist are now gone,
It's a problem.
I got to spend a lot of money to kind of get a
that's a
new hero,
weird
especially
rotation.
especially if I'm using equipment that are the expensive cards, I might have to spend another like $100, $200 just to get one more new deck to continue playing. So I think that's something that maybe they should look to address in the future.
But
Yeah,
it is still a
figured
new game. It is still just over 2 years. So and they've been pretty responsive, I think, to issues and whatnot. We'll see what happens. The game is still popular in the store.
I still love it. It's still my favorite card game right now. It's just you see some of these things that like as the game ages. Like we always had the problem with like Star Wars Destiny, the second set kind of put it on a downward trajectory, and even though it rebounded, it never kind of came back.
Yeah.
This is what I feel like. I don't want to call it a downward trajectory. I don't want to talk down about it, but it seems like it's.
We did talk about that happy medium of the release. Like, it's gone too far without anything new. So you run into that, like, is anyone excited to play the same sets we've been playing? So, like, is it too far between the new? And then sometimes we talk about Magic. Is it's too damn close? You know what I mean? Like, that's got to be really hard to find the happy medium of what to land into and make people kind of, I'm not rotating out too quickly. I don't feel rushed, or I'm not bored. You know what I mean? Like, that's the...
It's also got to be really hard when it's not 100% in your control. Like if you are the game designer, you have to worry about production and shipping and everything else. So maybe this new Flesh and Blood set should have been out a month ago,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
the world doesn't let it happen because of shipping and printing and things like that.
And that's why it has to get some slack too, because we all know that even to this day we're still having logistical issues with things.
Yeah, nothing's. I don't think anything was perfect to begin with. We just didn't feel it the way we felt it during the pandemic and coming out of it. So now we're really feeling production woes and seeing it. So like you said, like that poor guy designing that fab card has no control over when you're going to get it. So it's interesting.
But the good news is that there's a new set coming out. It's going to be out in October. We got actually previews tonight. So we're filming this on Wednesday, last day of August. Tonight is the very first previews for the new set. And we actually have a World Championship coming up in San Jose in November.
Interesting.
So
which we'll probably have qualifiers for as well.
Which is, I believe that is the end of their $1 million year for their prize support. And then they'll start it up again, hopefully, for 2023.
Pretty cool.
No, what else is there card game-wise? We just still have My Hero in the store. There's a whole debacle with the second set. It has since been remedied. It is now available at multiple distributors because of what happened. We won't say what happened because I don't like to talk negative energy on the store on the show. So My Hero is still going. It comes to a question for me, how many card games can I keep alive in the store? Because there's only...
Yeah. You tend to...
People have pockets that are only so deep.
Yeah.
The store has pockets
and
that are only so
card
deep.
players tend to stay in the card player realm.
Once you get into a game, you get into it and you start spending a lot of money and you don't... how much money do you have? Even if you had the money, how much time do you have? Or how much interest do you have?
You might have to break out a little niche because there is a new card game coming from Disney that just released a couple days ago called Lorcana.
Yeah.
Lorcana.
And
so the title was misleading because it originally had said that it wasn't Disney's article. This was someone else's article talking about it, how they wanted to compete with Magic and Pokemon, but it really wasn't. They wanted to get into the market, but the competition is not about the game. They actually want the game to be, we talked about this, less competitive.
Yeah.
They want it to feel like Pokemon, where you feel it's a feel-good game. Me and Chris were just wondering on, nothing about the mechanics yet, but like the properties and what are they going to use in...
Well, look how many IPs they own.
True, but are we really going to see Marvel and Star Wars in that, or is it just going to really be the Disney side of their cartoons and movies?
Am I going to get Pinocchio versus Stitch, or am I going to see Hannah Montana throw down with Phineas and Ferb? Like I want to know where my level is, because if it's the classic cartoons, if it's some of the like '90s cartoons or 2000s, if I find gargoyles in there, I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, I could deal with Maui and all the princesses, and like I'll take a Maui deck, throw in
the truth of the
giant
matter
crabs.
is there is no limit. They can do whatever they want. It's just they have the marketing. They know what their target audience is and what they like currently, so that's what they'll use.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, we got all the Pixar stuff is in there too.
So that's kind of we were talking about the generational thing. What generation are they going to focus on? Maybe they've started we're old. So I mean, maybe the idea that they're not going to focus on our generation. It's going to be the few generations younger than us. And is that who are they going to really appeal to?
The way they get to the older crowd, and I think it's what Pokemon does, because more often than not, the people that come in and buy Pokemon are over 30 years old. So
you got the disposable income
because they got the disposable income and they're after the shiny, right? So Disney can I mean, we're already notorious for making collectors and limited editions
Sure.
and whatever. So if they just start making like, here's Mickey, and then you can play him, and he's got this version of the card, but here's the shiny one.
Here's Mickey with purple pants.
And Mickey with purple pants is like the card from.
Yeah.
By the way, I looked it up. It's $1,800 for that red card that is worth 20 cents.
Wow.
Okay, so here's the purple pants Mickey that's
It's
now
Steamboat
worth
Willie.
now that's worth $1,800, right? And the value of the card in game is nominal, but there's so many from printing.
All right,
Look at-
Disney. Sell me Steamboat Willie's spot
Yeah.
gloss.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And
I'm
then
there.
here they are. I mean, why are they doing this? All right, they have enough money. Why are they doing this? They want more money, right? Of course, they're Disney. They see
The game
TCGs.
market, the market.
They see TCGs, and they see the sports card industry. All right, what blows up the sports card industry right now? One of four, one of three,
The exclusivity.
one of one. When you get a 1-of-1 in the sports card industry, no one else on the planet has that card but you. So you could turn around and say this card is worth $9 million.
Because you set the price.
Because
But
I set the price. I
But
got
you
the
can never
1-of-1.
really do that in a card game because you couldn't leave the house with that because someone would stab you. Because
Yeah. But they do it already in sports.
but
Why
no one
couldn't they do-
plays with the card. That card
Yeah.
doesn't leave a
No,
vault.
but what I'm saying
Like
is
you-
they'll do that. They'll have the Disney.
Well, it's no different than
yeah.
like how many
And then
how
they'll
many
have the
Charizards
1-of-1.
are
Yeah.
there in like. We've
Yeah.
opened how much Magic, and we saw one Charizard yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, like you know what I mean.
And
So
your
like,
son pulled that shiny face Charizard.
but like
yesterday.
we've
Like,
opened a lot of those, and I
Oh my
even the
God,
other
I
s-
know. I'm talking about Pokemon again. I gotta
But like
stop.
it's don't get me wrong. I think Disney can be very successful with exclusivity. But
Yeah.
I think the like we said, what's the mechanic of the game? And,
That's the most important.
And then like how do you play in the game? Because I'm all about making an evil, villainous deck. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
but
when we
like
get to the board games.
a Maleficent, like on a card is the Black Dragon. You flip her over and she's the.
Imagine how
I'll
cool-
sign me up.
Imagine how cool that would look with like the dark green and purple on a really nice shiny card, like a Pokemon treatment. It's gonna look fantastic.
Disney can Disney. You could figure this out. Backlight it with little LED strip and
Yeah,
the
I'm okay.
card
I
backlight
don't even wanna
something.
Did you know what? You know how Disney can flare anything up?
Yeah,
right.
put
So-
radioactive dye in that thing. You just start glowing.
Let me ask you this: this is going to be created by Ravensburger. Ravensburger is a puzzle company,
Yeah.
and they do dabble in board games, but mostly mass market games. It's like, are we worried that because the card quality in Villainous is not the best? I mean, I sleeve everything anyhow, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But is there any concern that it's Ravensburger? This is their first TCG ever.
I guess it's going to come down to how much money they put into it. That's all it comes
Yeah.
down to. There's Ravensburger. I mean, obviously, Ravensburger's paying for this license, right? You don't pay this kind of money for a license. And if you're a smart company, you don't pay for this license and not put every.
And think about how many people.
Unless you're FFG.
How many people? Oh,
Oh, shots fired! Shots fired. Yeah.
How many people have they stolen from other card games that we don't even like? Other
Yeah.
like how many people have left Magic or any of the other games of like, well, here's new pay, this new paycheck.
Yeah.
A lot of people jump ship or like leave jobs now. Maybe something fresh and new. We'll see. That's D23 by the way. They're gonna show cards they announced at D23.
It's next week, right?
I think so. So that's gonna be.
It's interesting. Like you said, Disney, whenever you watch Disney do something, you have to watch it because you know they're going to put money into it. And it's the IP. It always sells. You can stick Disney on anything and it's probably going to sell.
And think about it too, is that they could sell that in the parks.
Yep.
Like they could sell
You got
exclusives in the
exclusive
parks.
packs
There
in
we
the
go.
parks.
The
Get you
kings
in the
of
parks and stuff,
exclusivity.
or even like Disney stores or like events and stuff like that.
Then
So
God forbid the game is actually good.
once again, it always comes
'Cause
down to the
Because
mechanic.
that's the thing. Like if you all eye candy you want, but once the game is good, now you open it up like an eternity of fans can
Can of
just like,
worms.
hey man, it's fun.
You know what you're opening? You're opening my wallet and pouring it on the table.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine as long as it's emptying on my counter.
On Red Seal.
Seal's counter, I'm fine.
Until
with
we
that.
get another Star Wars card game.
Until we get, well, maybe this will be
The countdown
some
We
continues.
have to
kind
talk
of
about that too.
You reset the clock. Stop. You reset the clock.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
we
it's
did
not-
it with squats, and
We
we're
did with
doing
squats,
it with
but-
Star Wars
But
card
it
games.
took 35 years for squats.
We're
And they're
resetting.
not. Wait. They're not squats. Remember that.
Yeah.
They're leagues of Votan.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hold on. We digress.
Also
Don't cross the
known
streams.
as-
Don't cross the streams.
But Star Wars actually announced not a trading card game, but a deck builder
Deck
Deck builder.
from Fantasy Flight. So
Yes.
we'll see what happens.
Super teased. They didn't even show us a single card.
No.
You're gonna make me curse, like violently. Like we drop an F-bomb here and there, of course, but you gotta piss me off. Look. By the way, this
was
is coming
day
too.
4.
And they
It was
didn't
day
even
4 the
show us
last-
a single card.
They
We're not
pulled
gonna
a-
see that game for 5 years.
They pulled an Apple oh, there's just one more thing.
Yeah.
And they showed just the cover art, and they had a score to it, and then it went to black.
Real quick, just to satisfy my own evil. Not that I'm evil. I'm lawful good. We all know that.
Yeah.
Not that I'm evil. But I want everyone real quick, over under 5 years, release of this.
I think less than
Under.
5.
You thinking under?
Under.
Under for sure. I think because FFG has to put something out new.
I'm
Going
over.
If you
Over
watch
5 years.
I'm going over 5. I don't trust them.
If you watch the whole
We
Gen
saw
Con,
nothing.
I think.
if you watch the whole Gen Con thing, every day was an addition to an existing game. Twilight Imperium's getting this. Arkham Horror's getting this.
There's
All the
nothing new.
games on. They
There's
have
nothing
nothing.
new.
That was the only new announcement for FFG since they're split with AMG and their other companies. So I really think FFG needs to have something new. And
All right, over under 3 years.
Under.
I got an oof. You see?
but see-
I'm still
so
under.
here-
I'm
wait,
still
wait,
under. I'm still under because I
okay.
think a lot rides
Here's
on
my
them
here's my
getting it.
here's my thing. They will put out a bad game under 2 years because they need to make their money back on the development, on the shipping, on the printing,
The
on
IP,
everything else.
Which is
The
not-
royalties.
Which is not a good
So
thing.
even if I'm right or wrong, I'm still not happy.
Yeah, it's,
But a deck building game is not like it's the threshold of what a CCG is going to take. A deck building
games
is
can
not.
They can be fun though. You
Oh
know?
no,
Yeah.
the fun is not, and I'm pumped, and
Yeah.
I kind of like it, not worrying about chasing and then building. I mean, we know deck building's been done before, so it isn't a safe threshold, and now you're just putting Star Wars on it. The whole it's Rebel versus Imperial only. I mean, I would have loved to seen a cooperative, kind of like Marvel Champions kind of system.
Well, that could still
Arkham.
happen, right? Or did they say it was competitive?
no, it's competitive. It's
They
100%.
said- they said competitive?
It's two players.
head to head.
Rebels, Imperials fight off, done. And
No,
it's deck.
And we also don't know, can you do Rebel versus Rebel? Can it be Imperials or Imperial? Does it always have to be the
right,
opposite? It's a lot to be answered, but
Let's talk about something else because you're making me sad.
it's something
I
new.
don't want to be sad because
Yes.
I want to see a Star Wars card game. I reset the clock again. I
Yeah.
reset in 30
Yeah.
seconds. I'm so stupid.
Steal the plans. Steal the plans.
Steal the plans. Steal the plans.
Speaking of Steal the plans, speaking of Star Wars, we did get to see Rogue One in the theaters
my
together
God, so good.
in IMAX.
In IMAX. I
It's-
mean, I still have a little bit of tinnitus from that theater, but it was
Oh,
amazing.
no, yeah. Well, I'm deaf, so it was perfect. I told my wife we're going there for every movie from now on. I forget how awesome that IMAX theater is. But
Yes.
yeah, like rewatching it in the big screen,
It was so good.
it's just
Especially because it was, I mean, I've seen it probably about 3 or 4 times now, other than the once in the movie and then, on TV, whatever. But at the IMAX, especially with the sound banging the way it was, I was just busy listening to the background and the announcements in the hangar and
all the
and watching just the
Calling
tertiary.
General Sandula.
Yeah.
General Sandula.
Yes. Power to ship up. He mentioned it was General Antilles.
Captain Antilles. I have a job for
Antilles.
you.
Captain
Now, is
Antilles.
that Wedge or is that?
No, that's
the
Wedge's
dad.
father,
That's
who
Wedge's
is
father.
flying the Tantive that Leia is on in A
You
New
see
Hope.
what I mean? That's what I heard.
who gets
I want-
choked out in the beginning of A New Hope.
Yep.
When you think
That's
about
him.
Yeah, that's
Captain
him.
Antilles,
I
yeah.
didn't even know that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So,
Okay, great.
but yeah, I think the idea of, once again, we always talk about how good Rogue One is because it's outside of the major heroes arcs.
But
It's
tangential.
and it's a boots on the ground. It's like, don't get me wrong, what Luke does in Return of the Jedi really has nothing to do with the battle that's going on outside. It's won by the people. Like, every war is won by the guys climbing the hill. Generals can say whatever they want, and the president can say whatever he
the
wants.
grunts do the work.
So that movie
Always,
really is
right?
there's a swing, the rebels make a surprise, and then the Imperials come shut it down. Like, and it's real realistic in the sense that, like, overwhelming force won there, and everybody dies.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part, everybody dies.
I mentioned it. It's Dirty Dozen.
Yeah,
It-
it's like a classic.
I'm not
war
saying it's
movie.
a copy. I'm not saying that.
No, it's a classic war movie.
It's a classic war movie, and The Dirty Dozen is one of my favorite movies. But that's the kind of story it is. But that's how good it was.
Yeah.
That's how good it is. That's how good the story is. That's how good the character development is. You get attached to them very quickly.
Yes.
And they get killed very quickly.
And remember
And
too,
it's-
and once
it's,
again, we always talk about how bad Disney has done things in the future, past, whatever. That movie had massive rewrites and reshoots. You know
The
what I
whole
mean?
Darth Vader scene is 100% a reshoot that was not in the original
There's
cut.
tons of scenes in the original trailer that are not in the movie. That's like, actually, that was the first culprit of, where was that scene? Like, there's a thing when Jin goes out to move the
Yeah.
dish.
Yeah.
There was
He's
a
in the-
TIE
he's in the
fighter.
TIE fighter.
So there was a TIE fighter who was supposed to come up right next to
Krennic.
her.
Oh.
That's how Krennic finds her.
Oh, that
Krennic's
was the
flying the TIE
original-
fighter and
okay.
comes up to the observation
So
deck.
like there was a lot of reshoots, and it was I think they added a second director Garrett, whatever his name is,
Gareth Edwards.
Yeah, like they brought someone else in to help him finish the movie. But meanwhile, it's awesome.
It's still the best Disney Star Wars movie yet.
Agreed.
So it's the
Agreed.
non-scroll.
And those that watch this podcast from before know how angry I am about the whole Skywalker saga.
But it's why there's no scroll.
yeah.
And the Skywalker
Bam.
saga is about the scroll. If it's the movie has a scroll, it was about the Skywalker saga. That movie just went whoomp.
Yeah.
It's turned on. You're like Krennic's coming in.
And that whole scene with the rings around that planet and the lighting
Yeah.
and
But it was-
Krennic coming with those troopers.
My favorite thing new for Star Wars is when I watch the movie like that, I am not watching where the director wants your eye somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Because I've seen it so many times. My eye is in the corners.
Yes.
There's so much interesting things going on. Costumes, droids, cans of blue milk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything. I think that's so interesting to see. I've watched New Hope recently. It was on TBS. Had like 7 days of Star Wars. I watched every day. But there's so much stuff going on in the background of those movies that no one like really focuses on.
TBS has 365 days of Star Wars.
It was-
just feel like it's on every
That's
day.
one of them.
Well, that
Yeah, that's
oh,
one
yeah.
of them right there. Yeah, exactly.
Empire Strikes Back.
They do that. Harry Potter, right?
And
would
they
do,
were
like, those
on.
ones.
I mean, when he went to go talk to when Cassian Andor first shows up, they're on. What's the name of the? It's in Outer Rim, the planet that he.
Oh,
went
the
to.
Ring of Kafrine.
The Ring of Kafrine.
Yeah.
That's where Jin is captured
Captured,
from.
right, yeah.
Not
So-
captured, but rescued from, I
rescued
should
from,
say.
right,
Yeah.
So
Or was that Nobani?
seeing-
Wasn't it Nobani or Kobani planet? Rings of Kafrine's where he shoots the
Where he
guy
shoots the
in
guy.
the street.
Oh.
Rings of Kafrine, where he shoots the guy.
It's
in
got
the
the
street, yeah.
asteroid. It's actually two asteroids connected by a
Connected by
city,
city.
which is
Please
like
and that was
Don't
amazing.
take my
You don't
Star
have
Wars
a-
nerd card away.
Hey, listen, it's all right.
I got to plan it wrong.
It's all right. It's all right. You're getting old, Chris.
I am getting old.
You're getting old.
we got to play more Outer Rim. That's
We have pictures on our Instagram to prove that you're getting old. Oh, ye of
let's not
the
go there.
spotted gray beard now.
It's called wisdom.
Oh,
It's wisdom.
see, how come that never worked for me?
But yeah, we saw it. We loved it. I mean, bring Solo. We would say
I wanna
put
see Bring
Solo in
Solo back.
IMAX. I think that would. I mean, people would go back and see that in IMAX.
You take that out of the fervor of The Last Jedi and you watch it for the movie that it is. It's fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's not the best movie.
No.
It's not the best Star Wars movie, but it's fun.
It's fun.
And listen, time
and
changes
IMAX.
things. We talked about the Clone Wars trilogy, how when it was first received, it was doo-doo. I didn't like it, but they ruined Star Wars to me. Whatever. Now you compare it to what we have in the Skywalker. I'll take Jar Jar Binks right now. I'll tell you right now. Misa like Jar Jar Binks now. I tell you right now because it's better than what they gave me now. But Rogue One,
I
Rogue One,
love it
gives me
all.
hope.
So I have a fucking full plate. I eat.
Yeah.
I'm fat.
Yeah.
I apologize for you that don't like it, but I love it all.
Yeah.
Segueing into from Star Wars, we do have some going into the miniatures realm of things. While we were away, X-wing took a giant dumpster fire, and
I like how you should
Took
dump
a giant dumpster
stir fire, like pause because there's a dump.
Yeah, into the
Because
fire. We took a
even-
dump into a fire.
Even my hardcores, even Baron, even K-Toff started to show some doubt.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And-
it was
and
weird. It was weird because once again, scenarios came. People were like, and then and then the rules changes happened, and then everybody kind of backed off. We saw it in the store. People stopped coming to play.
Wednesday night turned into like a ghost town.
Yeah, like yeah.
I saw a tumbleweed.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
like
I went from having
It was the
you know,
Tashi station
I
with
went
no
ha-
power
dude,
converters.
I
let
went
me
from
tell you.
having 20 hardcore active players in a league to 4 guys showing up.
Yeah. So then what happened was after that, the scenarios kind of like people started playing them, growing on them. Then they changed the rules and scenarios and scoring from the first round to the second round. They came out with a whole big points change, and that kind of reinvigorated people. The Razor Crest finally appeared, so that was kind of, kind of helped, and people started coming back and playing now, and there's a little more options for them. Points changes always make it more viable. You can put more pairings of ships in your lists change.
I actually played over the summer. I played in the X-Wing League.
You did play in the league.
I had a lot of fun. I didn't play any of the 2.0. So I don't know what they changed from 2.0 to 2.5, but I like the scenarios. I can't really talk to list building. I built one list. I kept it the entire season, so I can't talk about like is it too many power ships? So you can't take it. You can't take the rookie ships anymore. I can't speak to
Yeah,
that.
generics got once again they changed generics how people Why would you run? It's the points. It's that like 2-point ship. There's a 3-point ship, and then it's like you have to fit them all into your 20 points now as opposed to 200 points.
But I played 4 games, and I had fun in each and every one of them.
Yeah.
They were great. I like the scenarios a lot, actually. I think that's really cool because I don't have to focus on just shooting.
You have a secondary or an additional win scoring kind of, still blowing up the ship gives you the points, but now there's a way to score when you're not actually blowing up a ship. So
I can look across the table, see a ship that I know that I can't deal with, and still potentially have a successful game because I can skirt around it or use objectives to my liking.
And I tell the guys in the store too, I always say the more scenario, like once again, you're at the beginning of Fab. You only have so many heroes and so many cards. Once you've gotten a few years and they add more scenarios and you have a larger scenario pool to choose from and not just 4, the game will feel a lot different than it does now. They did have their in-flight report, or that's AMG does their own version of it on Twitch. They announced that as of next year, we will see. This is kind of what's new coming for X-Wing, but they will have. They're working on reprints. They specifically mentioned TIE Bomber, classic ship, the YV-2400. So, and they also did mention Dash is not going to be the Dash of old. Either he's not coming back, or he's coming back with a new pilot ability. And the YV itself is going to have a little more of a.
Do you think they know something canon that we don't about Dash?
Think?
It would be cool if that showed up. I mean, the YV's in Rebels, the ship's in Rebels, not with Dash in it, but Dash would be cool.
Dash
I mean,
would be cool.
he's kind of like he's almost like a jock Han Solo. Remember his artwork? He was a little more, the artwork was Tim Heidelbrand did a bunch of artwork for there. He's beefy. But anyway, I digressed. Gunboats. The Imperial gunboats is very much like the I always call them the mini Lambda. It's a tri-wing, kind of different than the TIE. CNR is not building those. That people want those. The prices for them on the secondary market are ludicrous. So a reprint of that makes sense. But they also did mention that not all 1.0 ships will be getting a 2.0, or 2.5 black box. That's a little disconcerting. I don't know what. I mean, there are some ships that don't make sense. How are you going to make Sabine's TIE Fighter when there's like 4 different TIE Fighters, you could just use one, I guess. So
Scum needs so much help right now, though.
Every faction can. From the guy, Resistance is in a horrible spot right now. Even though they have options, they need some new ships. So it's weird. The meta is completely weird when you look at it. Number-wise, we won't get into that. But from what AMG's trying to do next year, 4 new starter sets. So where the starter set now is, you're stuck with 1 X-wing and 2 TIEs from the OG. The 4 starter sets will be 4 ships
for your faction.
Faction. So if you pick Rebels, you're going to get 4 ships to start. I'm hoping that it comes with a damage deck dice and the templates. So it's kind of like starter set tailor-made for you.
Maybe they do Legion style where they give you the upgrade pack or Essentials kit. That's
which is still I think, it's more, and they're tailor-making those starter kits to play against the starter kits. Like new guys, we've got a whole new group just came in the store and learned X-Wing. If that was there, you could sell them, each buy their own starter set, and then that starter set is made to fight that starter set. And then there's obviously other things that people...
Which gives them a solid entry game.
Way more so than the current box, because really
also,
you're doing the basic starter game, but it's not really like a full list in essence.
Helps answer the question, what do I buy?
Exactly. Now you can point
them.
What do you like? Here you go.
That helps me a lot.
And it's not every faction, so I'm assuming the 4 is probably going to be Empire, Rebels, maybe Separatists, and maybe Republic, or they'll do Scum, and then Scum throws the balance off of regardless. They're also coming out with standard loadouts. Standard loadouts is a card where it's a pilot ability, sometimes a different pilot ability, and already pre-built in upgrades that sometimes don't fit on your normal ship chassis, whatever. And then I don't know how they're gonna price. Those loadouts are going to be standard legal, so you could play that loadout or build your own version of, say, like Vader. Vader has 3 different things on his thing, like afterburners, I think Malice.
Yeah, that made a curious problem for me as to how much do I order, because some of the ships are redundant because a lot of the players have them already, but these cards will be possibly putting abilities together that normally weren't legal.
They normally don't have on that chassis.
Yeah, so now...
Are people going to want those?
People are going to want that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and then how do you... the only way I think they're going to sell that is that price standard loadout has to be cheaper than my build, right? Because why wouldn't I just build it if it's going to be more than Vader with all that stuff?
Get value.
So there has to be some kind of value. We'll see. They haven't really talked about it.
You know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about the Battle of Yavin.
Scenario
'Cause
packs.
that is what I'm excited
Well,
for.
Scenario
that we
packs.
got. I mean, that we got because that's going to be fun. It's just
They actually showed the cardboard layout of the trench run, and there's a whole mechanic where freaking Han shows up and you're all clear, kid. You know, like and there's a whole mechanic of taking the trench run.
We also have the trench run terrain in the store that everybody got me last.
Yeah,
for Christmas
yeah, Dave.
last year.
We could definitely use that and make a really cool trench run board.
Exactly.
But they talked about scenario packs based on major battles. Like they talked about Jakku. They talked about the Battle of Endor. They talked about next year's anniversary for the Return of the Jedi. You're gonna have to take down the Super Star Destroyer. So there's interesting things. They just spoiled the Battle of Coruscant, and you're gonna have to take down the Invisible Hand.
So awesome.
There's an Invisible Hand cardboard. It's almost look like a puzzle piece. It's got a single seam. I'm assuming that's on the board. And then there's a card for just the shields, and you have to blow the shields down so that the boys can land
get in.
on there, you know? So that's interesting. Like, scenario packs are... But once again, scenario packs don't give the tournament people anything, except for maybe the standard loadouts. But you do get other ways to play the game, which we always like.
That's what we like the thematic ways to play the game.
And then the last thing they announced was Hot Shots, the new Hot Shots and Aces pack, so which I love because it's more pilots for pre-existing ships. So, like, you know, give me whoever, you know.
Any chance they do a card pack like that with these new cards that you were talking about in the reprints?
They haven't mentioned it. I think because they're going to want to sell.
They want to sell the plastic.
Those plastic first.
Probably.
I mean, that makes sense. You can't
Could be
blame them
down
for
the line though.
You can't blame them for wanting to make money.
They are a company.
And think of, in starter sets, you do it. You do repainted ships. You know, if you have X-wings in there with Blue Squadron from Rogue One, I'm going to get. I mean, how many saw Guerrero black tie? I mean, I only fly partisans. That was the only time I ever flew a Rebel list, but I wanted black, so I think I have two. I think only one came in that box. I think I have two. So I mean, give me repainted ships. I'll take them. But we'll see. So that was kind of like that was the miniatures kind of stuff that what happened. And then on the small other side, Legion got a whole bunch of new battle forces. So they're starting to try and make the one-stop shop where instead of buying the core set where it's maybe not everything.
That was such a no-brainer. It really
the
was.
Battle Force and Essentials kit.
Have they come out yet, or are they still pending?
Still pending.
Still pending. They're coming. The Essentials kit came
I have
before
the
we got the
Essentials kit.
boxes.
Yeah, we actually have the Essentials kits in the store. I guess they figured get that out early because there's a need for it. If like two guys split a box, one guy would.
If you bought the old core set, yes.
core set,
But now
so-
you can. Well, they did bring in for Legion. They bring in the Scum faction finally. So you're not these, you know, pairings of clones versus droids and rebels and Empire. You finally got the Scum faction. So you're bringing in the criminal element. They're led by the Shadow Collective with Maul, the Pikes, and all those guys. So yes, now you have like that other option of the mercenaries. Din Djarin and the Child just got showed their bases, and like you could either have them on one base or separate. The Child's going to be running around with Din Djarin on the board.
Yeah, there was like two little miniatures of him, wasn't it? Two
You
of
can.
them?
It looks like you could put the Mando and him on a single base, or you could have them separate. There's one where he's eating the frog. I don't know what he's going to do. So it's going to be interesting to see him on the board. But there's the whole mercenary icon, and now you could bring in mercenary units into your army. So really interesting. We also got that new kit. They're doing their kit. It's called. It's basically an infiltration kit. You play a mission where you try and infiltrate the base and download. One team's going to be on patrol duty, and you got to try and sneak in. You're obviously going to get alerted, and we're going to blast each other. Blast them.
Blast them.
But yeah, I mean, so on the Star Wars miniature front, that's the kind of stuff that we could hopefully we kind of missed and it's coming. What else do we got?
What else is going on? We talked about Magic. We talked about Fab. We talked about Star
What
Wars.
about the 40,000-pound gorilla in the room called GW?
Those guys. Well, as we speak tonight is a big reveal at Nova.
And, it's currently 7:47. I've been watching the website. It's supposed to launch up at 8.
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. We're gonna get.
I want to try to get some. I want to get some hot news, breaking
Yeah.
RSG news.
We will give you news 3 days after it's already come
Already?
out.
Well, in those 8 months, we did have a
When
ramp
will
up.
then be now?
Soon.
Yeah. Well, we did have 40K is coming to the end of its cycle for this edition. We're almost kind of done with.
The Demons just came out.
Yep.
Literally, the book is actually going to be for sale this Saturday.
We had we know what's we won't say
Leagues-
yet what's coming.
The
We know
Leagues of Votan are
Leagues of Votan is supposed to
be
be
soon.
November. I think they said they also spoiled. We know. I think tonight we're going to find World Eaters. We're going to
Eaters are
see a
gonna
lot
be-
more. Angron, New Demon Prince.
So I think we're within probably 6 to 12 months of a new edition.
New edition, yeah. That's the kind of rumor thread.
That's what's that's what the vibe is.
That's the vibe. We also got Horace Harrison finally released as
I still
a
can't
full
believe it. I have
plastic.
plastic Horace Harrison miniatures in my store.
And they've been
really weird.
pumping out
Yeah.
the shoulder pads and head options for your legions.
Yeah. Which is good because they're pretty generic looking.
Yeah. Well, it's funny they did for 30.
After you get by the they all look the same. So
Well, yeah. How do you personalize them
so that's
more?
why they're pumping these out. So
But
it's good.
It's funny how they did what they should have did for 40K is they made boxes of the heavy weapon arms.
Mm-hmm.
So now, like, as a Chaos player, when I used to buy the Combat Patrol, my old Chaos Space Marines, it was the chain auto gun, Gatling gun. That was the best one. There was one. If you wanted to run 5, which was very viable at that time, you were buying 5 separate boxes. But now with 30K, they give you the box of just the heavy weapon sprues. So, I mean, I'm still just not buying all extra bodies that I might not use. I'm just
they're learning slowly.
30K, I think, is the they want to sell. That needs to sell, so they're correcting maybe mistakes of old.
It was also easier. Like I said, the box came with basically 2 identical looking armies.
Or one whole army.
Yeah, or one whole army. So it's easier to say, all right, well, here's the base, and now we're going to sell you, you want 5 heavy weapons? Here they are. You want 5 of these? Here they are. You want 5
You want
of
all
these?
missile launchers. You want,
Do you think 30K is more tailored to the connoisseur GW player that has always had these gripes of like, I don't want to buy 5 boxes, I want to buy just a box of heavy weapons?
I think so, and I also think, new players will see Horace Harrison and they'll ask what it is, and a regular old school player will be like, oh, that's what it used to be before what it is now.
Yeah, it's an amalgamation of old past editions, kind of
I
like this
don't
templates.
Is this WoW Classic? Because it's kind of like an old rule set, right? It's a little bit.
It's a bunch of old rule sets, kind of
you know
refined.
What? I would normally say no, but because they reintroduced templates, right? Templates were always a hot topic point with the older systems, and they got rid of them. And
what's
once you mentioned WoW Classic, and I started thinking, and then you said templates, just at this moment, and I thought templates. I'm like, yeah, you know what? It is. It's kind of like this is how we used to play Warhammer, and this is the way. You don't like the new edition.
Play this one instead.
You can play this one instead. It's kind of like 5th.
Well, think about what they're doing for Age of Sigmar. You don't like playing Age of Sigmar? Go back to the original
Warhammer Fantasy Battles.
Fantasy Battles.
It's coming. I think that's
Dan has.
Yeah. Wait till he gets. Listen to me. Everybody, look at my. I'm just saying. Wait till he gets movement 3 dwarves that can't see units to their side, and they have to spend all their movement to pivot and go look. Just saying. Just saying. Square bases.
Diggy hole.
But regardless, I think that's that nostalgia. I think once again, the demographic with the disposable income. Let's point the games right at them. Let's cruise missile those guys.
Yep.
And
let's get their money and let them talk about days of yore. And this is how I used to play. Oh, templates were great. Blah blah blah. Templates suck. They still suck.
Well, there's a contention.
There's a scatter die in there too, isn't there?
Well, because it comes down to contention on the table, right?
Is that randomness already?
Is he fully under the template?
Oh yeah.
He's only halfway.
Dude, I had to print out sheets. Remember? I had sheets printed out with the bases. Like, what base size do you have? I had a sheet, so we wouldn't have to argue. I could show you how many how many of your Chaos Warriors are going to fit under a template when I hit you with a stone thrower.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't. I mean, I had to do what I had to do at the time, but I do like. I mean, what they did with War Machines in Age of Sigmar, it's basically just like a concentrated unit of archers.
Yeah. That does a set amount of damage. Cool.
It was definitely better than guessing and scattered dice and templates.
But I think once again it's GW just doing GW things. But like even on Age of Sigmar side, in 8 months it finally ramped up. The Deepkin book, Nighthaunt, Fire Slayers, Daughters of Cain, Sylvaneth came out, and Skaven. No, Caradron did not come out yet.
Oh, that's the old Caradron?
Still old. The only new books are right now, as in red, besides Stormcast and the War Clans.
Yeah.
So it was Deepkin, Nighthaunt, Fire Slayers, Daughters of Cain, Sylvaneth, Skaven. What we know is coming is they're probably going to announce tonight is the new Tzeentch book and a Lumineth book. There's
another Lumineth book. Gee.
Once again, 5 elf books before 1 dwarf book. I'm not saying anything. 2 destruction books.
I'll just sit here and sulk and force my beard to grow.
Yeah. That's why I got my beard.
Add it to your book.
And it's in my book of grudges. So this is my digital book of
This
grudges.
is my winter Viking dwarven beard, but not Warhammer dwarves because they're not on my list. It's Tolkien and
That's my fault. I used to blow the crap out of him with
Warcraft
cannons, and
dwarves.
He hates cannons. He doesn't hate the
man.
dwarves. He hates war machines. Is what he
I
hates.
hate GW dwarves. Except Less of Chaos, which is gonna be great.
You put a big ugly hat on her head, and he's in.
Yeah. Just you get all the hobgoblins you need. So 2 destruction books are supposed to be coming because they did give a. It's funny, someone spoiled the Demon Prince, so GW once again forces their hand. You're getting Slaves to Darkness, but it's in December.
December.
So now they had to put this roadmap out. It's Slaves of Darkness all at the end, and then there's this middle autumn kind of.
What about? I mean, there
so-
was also the talk of the Dawnbringer Crusade, and they were talking about maybe more humans.
If
like
Lumineth,
Cities of Sigmar.
so if Lumineth wasn't, if they didn't, they released the Lumineth and Tzeentch box. No mention of books.
6 minutes.
And then what have they done with all the other battle boxes? There's been books. You got Sylvaneth and Skaven books at the same time. So we're assuming they're going to announce, but that was the only order book up for the roadmap per se. So we know the Dawnbringer Crusade is going to be sometime. We just don't know when. There's 2 destruction books. GW is great. Their new spoiler, by the way, is a little snippet on Twitter of a picture, and there's a giant foot. Like the new giants have 3 toes.
Yeah.
It's obviously Sons of Behemoth coming out. It's like, can you not make it more obvious?
Well, somebody mentioned like the foot of Gork.
Could be the foot of Gork, but it's very.
I don't think so. It
it's-
looked, you know.
Then it's the accoutrement is all chaos shields that they smashed on. So I was like,
And they just did the Orc book, so
well, that's the thing. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not
unless
gonna happen.
unless it was Gloom Spites, but then I don't know
Nah.
what. Regard, but there is 2 destruction books. So Behemoth is kind of one. The second one, up in the air. We're gonna find that out in 6 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah, so basically with Slaves of Darkness, there's 11 other tomes in Age of Sigmar. We have no idea when they're coming.
I'm looking forward to the more human side of stuff because I've
You
recently picked
like
up
cities.
picked up the banner of cities because it's reminiscent of. It's like all my old army stuck in one box.
And segue,
And
why
what
did Dan pick that up? Because Warcry came out with a new edition, 2.0.
Well, we are on point with the segues today. By
just-
the way.
it's
Just to put a
We need
Break on.
RSG segues and just like leaning in those 2-wheel things and us jetting around. That's,
Exactly.
That's how good the segues have been. So it's the what's the name of the box? Oh my God, I know it's Gur.
Grrr.
This is called
Heart of Grrr.
the Heart of Gur, and we're exploring the Gnarlwood. Very cool fluff.
the terrain looks awesome.
Terrain's awesome.
The Warcry terrain has been good across the board since set number 1.
Yes.
But
Yes.
this stuff looks the best that it ever has. Like the
these
gnarled
little-
wood and the skulls
the
and the
little like rope ladders that connect things.
looks so good.
Putting it together though has been. It was like a geometric. It was like a puzzle, but like every time something's set, they would just fall in. I'm like, wow, this is.
I was glad I was working that night and I just watched him glue it because I was
Oh yeah,
I was like, what is happening? I couldn't even tell what it was.
So good.
Until the end, and then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what it
Yeah,
is.
it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Like these 2 crazy angular things come together, but then they lock and they come. It's perfect.
And it
They-
folds
it's
in.
like seamless.
They have gotten so good with hiding seams. Like, it used to be.
Oh, so good.
They just hide them on the shoulder pads now and joints and armor. It's
And the fluff. So it's interesting that they went. The 8 points was all the red horrible fire and stuff for the first few sets, and they kind of pulled this one into Gur, where Age of Sigmar is currently set in that setting. So they gave the whole the area we're in is a crashed Seraphon ship. So there's a lot of little I would call them Aztec or South American Meso architecture that's part of their spaceships. You want to call
but
them?
it was they usually build a jungle around themselves to hide
the
ship.
world engine will create to protect
just to hide
them.
everything.
When it lands, they
Yeah,
make a
but
giant.
the world engine went crazy when
this
it
thing
crashed.
crashed. So I think, and then what
So
happens
it
is
was
all
like
the
weeds everywhere.
and all the powers that be are now sending their forces to go, glean all the resources and treasures out of there, and that's what we're doing. We're going there to pillage.
I do like Warcry for the idea that they do try to give it a little bit of a story. Like that's
Yes.
it's a unique story. That could have been the plot to an entire novel or a book.
Yes.
And they're
Crashed
using it as
Seraphon ship,
this
yeah.
is the tag. This is the hook.
Yeah,
Fight for it.
And
Like, I think that's cool. I like
it
that.
is cool, and it's a cool tie-in to the greater arcs of they've tied them bigger into the arcs of their new editions for Age of Sigmar. So there is cohesion. Like the old set was there was those old Varanites, the stuff they're mining in the 8 points. It's so horrible. If you touch it, you spawn into like a spawn.
Yeah.
And they're, Archeon needs this stuff, so he's sending the guys down there. And that was that whole mining chutes and wheels, and like that was that whole story. The Catacombs one, I don't really know what was going on there. That was a little vague. And then the first one was really just kind of like, fighting back in the wastes. Who's going to rise up and get noticed by Archeon?
Here's some cool ruins. Go.
Yeah, some cool ruins. Go. So yeah,
So it is a complete new edition.
well,
So-
yeah.
so new
Most of the
rules.
rules stood the same.
Yeah, they did change some of the rules, like shooting into combat is no longer a thing, which is a big deal because shooting was becoming too much of a meta problem.
Shooting's an issue in a game that you would think would be the melee I mean, 40K is shooting, right? And then what breaks 40K? Really good hand-to-hand armies that can, get there and kill you.
Warcry was a little too inundated with these shooting units, especially that Stormcast unit was just like so powerful.
Well, there's a few that have that like reach you at 20-inch. The board's not big. You can you don't have to move. You can reach across the board, but not even that. It's just the there's no real, I could be next to cover and just it's your toughness. It adds 1 to your toughness, and the whole game is 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
1s and 2s always miss. 6 is always a crit. So you're really going either I'm going from a 4 to 5 or a 4 to a 3. That's the whole game.
Yeah.
When you roll the dice. So,
but then strategy comes from how you're going to use your doubles and your triples and your quads.
true, and that's the whole.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like what's the scenario dictate any game? How am I playing to the scenario? Cool, but they fixed like they gave lines of sight issues, terrain interactions.
I like
a lot
the ebb and
different.
flow of it, though. I love the dice rolls. I love how it's like, it's a new round. We got to re-roll our dice, and it can change the ebb and flow of a game.
And the
quickly.
singles, you could add to your singles to try and go first when you need to. It's really interesting.
So it adds a layer of depth to it. What is basically, like you said, it's a 3-4-5 game.
Yeah, 3, 4.
So there's a layer of depth to it now with all this die rolling. But yet it's still, once you get it down pat and everybody knows the rules, you could do it in about 30 minutes.
Probably, I would say about
Maybe
they've changed
45?
They've a lot of 3-round games. They've gone to a 4-round game.
Okay.
But I would think like definitely under an hour.
Under an hour.
Under an
That
hour,
is
for sure.
fantastic right there.
I love things like you can cut the rope bridges now. Like, so if a
Yes.
guy's on there and you're a real son
Yeah,
of a
you
bitch,
wanna
and you're
go,
just
"Let's
looking at him
go."
like,
Yeah.
hey, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's shit like that. That
It's like
reminds
a
me of
Tom and Jerry moment or something, right?
whenever I ask anyone, when it ever comes up on Twitter, everybody say the glory days of GW box games is Mordheim. People always look at Mordheim and say that
I
was the
agree.
narrative game where you make a warband, they go in there, and the warband gets better. There's progression. Kind of like what Necromunda has now.
Wait. Kind of like what?
Necromunda?
Oh.
Necromunda's Necromunda still has that the gang gets better over time and you kind of evolve. Warcry doesn't really have that, but they have their own kind of campaign path. But once again, Warcry is something that's being played in the store. I mean, I'm sorry, Necromunda is something that's being played in the store heavily. There's a whole league for that. So,
And that game is long because the book is thick.
And it is dense.
It is
That
dense.
book.
that's their.
That book is as dense as my hair used to be.
I think GW is like, you want the game?
Well, they give it to you. You ask for it, you got it.
You got
so I'm glad they did it because now there's I mean, it might be niche, but there are people that are into it.
It's
and
cool. That's the one book I opened. I opened that book. 3/4 of it is fluff, and that last quarter is rules. You open a Necromunda book, and it is rules from page 2 to the back cover.
Yes.
So I mean, that's kind of you got it. Like you wanted it, you got it, which is cool.
So they gave it to you, and we got that going on in the store too. The only problem with Necromunda in the store is the terrain. It is so much terrain, like
Oh, it's very
going
LOS.
from like Warcry, which has the small footprint, which is great because we could we could set up so many games if we wanted to. We actually, that's another thing we got to touch real quick. Going back to Warcry is we got the OP kit in the store.
One
And
of
with
the
new
new
edition,
OP kits.
we
Yes.
got a store championship trophy. We have participation prizes. We have top 8
tokens and
tokens
stuff. I
and
think
stuff
they
like
give.
that, so
I think
Trophy
that's
looks
great.
awesome, by the way. It's
yeah,
like
it's
piece of
really
glass.
good.
It's really
yeah,
cool.
like a hard
it's
acrylic.
it's a nice piece.
Which I think Warcry's strength is, which they should do a lot. They give you cards that show you how you have to set the terrain up.
Yes.
So there's no kind of like real. It's
I
like,
have a question. I remember in the original Warcry, they had pictures on cards that included terrain that were extra. So like the plinth set or the raised one. In the new set, do they reference pieces of terrain from older sets that are no longer
I
in print?
haven't looked yet. That was my one thing.
I looked through a couple, and they looked like it was only the new.
It was only the new stuff. Okay.
I think what they're going to do is this is one of the other things they announced was that there's going to be quarterly new sets coming out that have 2 warbands.
802. I'm not checking. Keep talking.
Look, they've talked about like it's gonna be 3 other releases for the year with like almost like another starter set with 2 warbands and terrain. So they're gonna expand on. So I think when we get further, I think those cards will probably start including the core set. They love doing that. Like make you get the core set, so that you have it all throughout.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, dude, last night during MCP, someone was playing Titanicus in the store. So like, it was awesome seeing that miniatures on that scale. I forget that scale of like old epic scale combat.
That's crazy.
Looked really cool.
Going along the lines of leagues, there's also been a Blood Bowl league that's been happening in the store. We're actually in season 2 right now.
Yeah.
I think the entire league happened in our hiatus.
Yes.
And now we've gotten into
and just I have to reference the two gentlemen that helped get it started because it was Art and Patrick.
Yep.
Helped came in one day. They were no longer playing at the old establishment they used to play at, and they came and they said, "Can we get this started?" And who am I to tell? I'm not going to tell somebody no that they can't play a game. So you never stop gaming. So of course, I said, of course. I said I didn't know how much interest there would be. Boom! The next thing I know,
Yeah,
how many people?
guys
was
in the
it?
league?
12.
It's high teens. I'm not.
High teens now.
I don't remember
out of nowhere. I did not expect it to happen, and boom, it happened. And Blood Bowl can be a pretty long game because it's set amount of rounds and whatever, and yet there are people interested in it. They were playing again today. There was another game in the store today.
When I schedule a Blood Bowl game, I schedule 3 hours of my life. Like that's kind of what it is. If it's quicker, that's great. If it's a little longer, that's also fine. But that's kind of it is a long game. But that's why they make things like sevens. You can play a smaller game. You can get the Blood Bowl feel of play a smaller game if you want. But the league's been successful. The guys even bought RSG specific dice for participation and for the champion.
Don't let Waylon see them.
The champion has their own it's a special kind of a marbled looking RSG dice.
Yeah,
so
really cool.
If you've ever had any interest in Blood Bowl, now's the time to.
Yeah, it's happening at RSG. I gotta say,
and those guys are great. They're more than happy to come in and sit down and do like you want to learn how to play. They will spend 4 hours with you to show you how to play the game.
Every season they have like a learn to play event or a learn to play day or two where they sit there and just would you like to learn? Would you like to play?
First learn to play day. I think there was like 8 people in the store. I mean, there's a reason that there's teens in the league because these guys took the time to spend 4 to 6 hours and show many people how to play the game.
And there's varied skill levels. So like you have your top echelon players. You also have brand new players. But the way that season 2 has been working, we've been kind of I shouldn't say me. The commissioners have been pairing the players of similar records together. So you never you might have a game or two that's a little off, but you're always kind of in a competitive atmosphere.
You get to the fat middle, then it gets a little crazy, but it's good. That's awesome. I mean, it's great to see a game that we never really saw getting played at the store previously or any other store, and now it's all
30 years. It was always niche. Like, look, somebody's playing.
Well, it was always overseas. Whenever I saw Blood Bowl being played, it was all in Europe, and Europe was just kicking ass.
In the Northeast here, if we saw one, the only time when you were playing at the game room, I couldn't believe you guys are a Blood Bowl league.
Yeah, we had an 8-person league at the game room. 8-person. We were so happy about it.
So that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And I think it pretty much covers a lot of the miniature stuff. Like there's obviously MCP stuff had come out. There was always
the only other thing GW is we got the new paint rack.
New paints. We got all the new paints. And a double Dan added into the existing racks. We got all the new contrast, all the new formula shades.
I was hesitant to get the new paint rack, but man, it looks good in the store. I'll be honest.
It'll look even better when it's completely full.
I can't get it full.
He shows me the list. It's like not coming.
It's a nightmare.
It's with my Puskoil Blight Lords.
The joys of being an OCD store owner. I want that just once to be full, completely full. But it just
take a picture.
If it ever happens, I will.
We'll send that to the social media manager, and the thumbs up are going to go through the roof.
Yeah. Logistically, just when they're out of stock, they're out of stock. What am I going to do? Right. So I just keep trying. I mean, every week I put in the same order. My buddy Jason, who's my rep at GW. What's up, Jason? Hope you're watching, bro. He, I every week now for like the past 3 weeks, I'm spamming him. He's like, "What's with all the paint, Dan?" I says, "I must fill rack," is what I just said to him, and I have to have it full. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen.
It'll happen one day.
No, it's good. People keep buying paints in the end, so that's good.
Well, they're buying, so I mean, if that's the reason it's not full, I am okay with that. But it's my OCD wants it one day just to look at it, take a picture, and I'm good.
So, and then on weird other news, like they did announce a new Lord of the Rings game coming out. Was kind of a re-boxing of, was it the Battle of Yavin?
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, you're talking about the GW version.
The GW version. So I mean, that's interesting. I think Rings of Power is going to bring all that out. And then there was something else with tonight. Whenever this is an announcement, they're bringing up Underworlds is part of their. Now, is it just going to be the gratuitous? Here's that last warband we thought was going to come, or are they going to talk about? They did mention the future of Underworlds and what's going to happen to it.
I still to this day think Underworlds could work. I played it; it was fun.
we always
they
talk
gotta
about
stop the chase. Don't make me chase. Let the game develop. If it's fun enough, they'll buy it all anyway.
Yeah. I
But
think if
once
you
they see
make
chase, they don't want to do it.
if you're doing it seasonal and say it's Nether Maze, make all the Nether Maze warbands. I only play with the cards in my Nether Maze warbands cards, and if I want to adapt or make that deck better, make those rival packs. They should have really pushed. It's just a single pack. You buy the pack, and there's a bunch of universal cards in there you could swap out. Nothing specific, but you want to maybe change your strategy up. Even if you make 2 of those packs in the season, I know I'm going to get to change my deck twice. And then a new season comes out, and I'll buy a new warband for that season, and then I'll wait for the update packs. Not having to worry about like 2 other expansions behind it. Am I going to get those cards? We always talk about that. It's one of the gripes is I'm not chasing those cards. I just want to play,
A lot of guys play Warhammer because they don't want to chase cards.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
we do it in all the other freaking games. I don't want to do it from GW.
You don't want to do it here.
But
I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, but it's a fun game. It really
It is. I enjoy playing it.
So, well, hopefully tonight we'll get some news.
It's under an hour.
They showed some silhouettes. It looks like there was a corn chaos guy. It might be
I've got it to progress in the store at one point.
Shai Halud.
Thank you.
And then I think that was it for the miniatures. I think the only other giant top of the pyramid was on the other side of Wati's announcement was the D&D announcement.
Finally, we get to Dungeons and Dragons.
What is that?
We're not
like
playing
that?
that, so I don't know
Did we
what the
play
frig it is.
Why do you got to bring that up?
I tell you, it's tough. It's tough.
Why do you bring that
Hey,
up?
you
I'm
just
trying- we're trying
open,
to
open
run-
your locker and
I-
get your books out, and you'll be good to go.
I'm trying to run a business.
Just stab
and
it.
it's very hard to play D&D while you're doing that.
It is. It's true. That's why we started playing World of Warcraft.
And I
But
also,
we won't even mention that.
We just opened a YouTube studio too.
Yeah. But it's interesting. Their announcement was that they're no longer doing editions.
Yes.
So now it's called 1D&D is going to go forward. And, I mean, I do like the idea of, people were always going to label things editions like, oh, it's 5.5. But I think the idea of now just, they said the success of the 5th edition core basic fundamental rule set is so successful, obviously, for them because it blew up for them, made tons of money from it. They're just going to add to that.
Which I think is a genius idea because historically they would bait everybody in, everybody's all happy and having a great time.
I don't want to think about 6th
and then
edition.
they would go, oh, here's 6th edition. And then everybody would immediately start getting sad and even if it wasn't out yet, you know that all the stuff that you have now will be outdated.
Or you'll walk
You
away
can't
from
use
and that bothers
Yeah,
people.
and
like,
it does. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So they're not doing that.
Yeah.
So this is a very good thing in my eyes.
And then at the end, before they announced this, obviously we had a bunch of books. In 8 months, they released tons of adventures and supplemental books. The multiverse.
Monsters of the Multiverse, Radiant Citadel, just the Spelljammer set just came out.
Just came out. So they definitely, and then they announced Kryn. They're doing a Kryn kind of adventure and coinciding with a board game that's supposed to be the battles part. You're going to be able to play them kind of interlinked, which is fascinating.
Kind of like our old idea of playing X-Wing or Armada and then playing Legion as
yes,
kind of
as
like
the different stages of tiered combat is like fantastic. And there was the old battle system. If you remember that old battle, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons battle system, and it was like little. It was the way to play mass combat in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. It was not popular. It was convoluted. It was crazy. I think I opened the box once and I'm like, what is all this? Never. So one of my friends had it. And I'm like, throw that away.
Yeah.
So I think that looking back on that, I think that was maybe something they decided, oh, we could get that to work and make people step out of the game but still be in the game with the board game. So I'm pumped to see that.
I'm happy that they are realizing that it is more mainstream than it's ever been.
It's huge.
It's huge. It's everywhere. I mean, we have Stranger Things to thank for it. We have
Critical
Critical
Role.
Role to thank for it. We have 5th edition to thank for it. And now we have what we saw was a trailer for a new Dungeons and Dragons movie, with no Wayans brother in it. Thank goodness.
Poor Wayans. Man,
Poor
come on.
Wayans. I'm sorry, bro, but just stay out of my D&D movies.
Yeah.
It
It looked promising.
looked
I was
promising. I
worried.
like-
The still
I like-
images got
I
me
like-
totally worried. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
And then I watched the
I am-
Owlbear. And
I am cautiously optimistic.
yeah, of course I was. You got to be
Cautiously
cautious.
optimistic.
Guardians of the Galaxy in the fantasy realm.
Which is
gonna
great.
sell.
Pretty
right?
much.
Just let's have fun.
Yeah.
Just have fun. Doesn't have to be all serious. We don't need Lord of the Rings drama, right? Let Lord of the Rings do its thing. Let D&D.
I think Guardians opened up a whole. I think that the way Guardians worked gave us humor.
And some a serious overtone. It's there. Like, we are saving the galaxy.
Yeah.
But we're going to have fun doing it.
Yeah,
And it's going to be some funny situations. Which when we play D&D, we don't always do the hardcore drama.
Oh, no.
There's always the
it's
bar
usually
fight.
me
There's
going
the-
off on a tangent. That's
There is.
way
I mean,
more depraved
it
than I
happens,
can say
but
on this podcast.
we have fun with it.
Yeah,
and it
a lot
looks
of
like
laughs.
it's a solid story so far. It looks like it's pretty decent. I mean, I think we saw Zastam.
Well, that's the thing. It's in the Forgotten Realms,
So,
which really
that's good. That means they're staying grounded in in one of their campaign systems. They're not just fabricating a bunch of stuff by a whim. So now you can actually use the source material.
Yeah.
Here's that. This could be Zastam. If that's great. Oh my,
Yeah, the
there's
wizards,
Zenta
if they
room.
look like they're playing in,
You can bring
in
the Zenta room. I mean, all this good stuff that makes
all your classic
this-
monsters with Displacer Beast, Gelatinous Cube,
and they
Mimic.
you know what they're doing? They're embracing it. You know, like you just said, here's a Gelatinous Cube. Everybody knows what that is. Displacer Beast. Everybody knows what that is. Seeing the Druid turn into an owlbear, that's what you want to see.
And it's the technology. Like I think when the Wayne brothers made their fantastic
No,
movie,
it's
they
true.
the CGI we have now. There's so much more you
It's
could
true,
do.
but
I
that
think
story
you could
was
finally
also-
do these.
that story was horrible and the acting was worse.
Yeah, and but the special effects are nothing
Yeah.
to like. You're like, ugh, like
Yeah,
even
this
then
looks
it was
good.
tough. So
It looks fun.
Fingers
I think
crossed.
Chris's Galaxy reference
That's
is
the
perfect to what this
perfect,
looks like it is. And if that's what that is, I am.
yeah,
I love those.
sign me
I
up.
love the Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm
Sign
in.
me up.
Yeah.
And then in the trail, of course, they threw some, great music over the sound over the.
Oh yeah,
over the
classic,
trails.
classic,
So-
classic.
Hey, insert classic rock.
Yeah,
Yes.
Party that goes off and does something stupid,
Marvel
and
does
then
it.
has to fix it.
Marvel nails that. So, and then there was the 35-year anniversary of Dritz
Yes.
is coming out, which I almost had. I almost fainted because they announced that they were going to have all 38 covers with
38
like
new books.
new books with new covers, and I was
I
like,
kind of wanted it though. We could have put it on the shelves. It would have
that would have been awesome. And I had to go back and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I have to reread this.
It's
And
just
it
the
was
digital.
only the ebooks.
Yeah.
And then like all the comments, why are you doing this in print? And I'm like, wow, 38 books. I'm like, I have all like they did Todd Lockwood.
I would have liked to have all
Todd
those
Lockwood's a
little
famous fantasy artist. He did a ton of the covers, and I
Mm-hmm.
have them all up to a certain point, and then they stopped doing Todd Lockwood covers because they were all reprints, and then they went whatever the new covers were. So I have a whole Dritz collection that's mostly uniform, and then it falls off. And then he went to Harper and Collins, R.A. Salvatore. That's the new book publisher. I met him and I asked him, I'm like, you ever going to do like a leather bound? Because some authors, I
They'll
mean,
do,
you know,
reprints of
they,
everything.
R.R.
or
Martin
a
has
big
leather
tome.
bound tomes of collecting. You have enough stories; they don't all have to go into single books. He goes, well, he said, now that I'm at HarperCollins, those things are more on the table than when I was at TSR or Wizards of the Coast per se. So I could do more with that now. So there's always that chance of getting awesome leather bound Dritz stories on a shelf. Thank God I'm not buying new 38 covers, but they are doing a DK book.
I wouldn't have minded.
I would have did it
Yet.
anyway because he's my favorite.
I wouldn't have minded.
By the way, Dritz might show up in here eventually because he might come out of the shadows. They announced the DK book, so like the kind of universal what do they call this? Like
Visual dictionary.
Visual
Visual
dictionaries
dictionary,
of Dritz Durden, which is very cool.
Yeah. As we said, Spelljammer just came out as well. We have the Kryn stuff coming.
Kryn.
Another campaign setting, a classic, which I guess you could say is classic.
Well, Spelljammer is the real link to everything.
everything, yeah. But Kryn is has a place in everybody's heart that read the.
But think about it, you couldn't get to Kryn if you were in Faerun.
Yeah, but now you
I
can.
think for all intents and purposes, I haven't read the Spelljammer lore yet, but I mean that's in the old way how you would get there. Like you would leave spheres and go to this other sphere, and now you could be kind of like world jumping. You want to go?
Well, kind of like
bask in the beach over in Kryn?
planeswalking, maybe.
Well, that's the other. That was the other spoiler that they're going to bring back. Planescape was the next year's. Oh, actually, they did. I think they did show.
They showed some, yeah.
Yeah, like Fandelver, the Mines of Fandelver. They're going to come out with a whole expansion
the whole
book
new
for that.
expansion of it. Yeah.
A whole book of Giants, I believe. I think we saw, and I think Planescape is going to be their final. That's your high level stuff.
And
like
they actually purchased D&D Beyond because D&D Beyond was
huge.
if you didn't know, it was a separate entity. Now it's actually owned by them.
And they did highlight new software imaging 3D dungeon. So when you buy an adventure now, the dungeon will be also rendered in 3D with miniatures that you can move around.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
it's gonna be a
it
builder.
was very pre-alpha what they showed, but it still looked pretty
It
polished.
looked way better than half the other stuff we've ever seen.
used, so
that's gonna be interesting to see what they offer, and it's in-house. It's not outside where it's a third party. Interesting. We'll wait and see.
I'm just glad they're not doing a new edition because I like this edition. We're dying to finish campaign that we got going on. We got to get going again.
But like at least but think about it now is when you do restart, we were kind of pigeonholed into like the dragons, the giants. There was only a few things you could go. We come back now, we might be in the friggin' the Fey realm, and like there's all those other little paths that we could like throw in front of our face.
We could leave Chris's character there and then just come back. He'll be happy there. He'll go sit on a tree and throw a rock at it.
I'll just go hug it.
I'll go hug it.
Yeah, he might come back with an owlbear.
Yeah.
I'll throw the rock at him.
He's coming back. He's coming out with his father. Is that what you're telling me?
But
check the store's social media postings for why I'm referencing Chris,
the owlbear.
Owlbear.
But
Chris.
I think we have
They're the same.
D&D's got a lot coming out, and that's exciting as always. I'm just pumped for I want that Dritz friggin' visual encyclopedia. So much stuff, like to see the old catalog. And
Those are like the best books for Star Wars because you get so much lore and backstory for like things like a Camtona that you didn't notice in the movie that now I never saw this. Let me go back and watch the movie for the 27th time.
The Solo one and the Rogue One are chock full of things. I'm like, what is that? Like, holy crap! Like they blew my mind with those two. Very interesting. Mando never came out with a visual dictionary from DK. I think it's because of Cara Dune was probably originally in it, and then with her leaving.
Well, maybe they wanted to finish it. Like, is this season going to be the last season?
No, I think they haven't talked about it. I think that's their go-to money guy right now.
Maybe they had some like spoilers in it from this.
I think
next
Gina
coming
Carano
season
was
too?
in it. You can't print it where she's going to want like royalties from it or something, and then it's like, all right,
okay,
how do we now? We can't print those old ones. Maybe they'll do season 2 on, and you won't get season 1's behind the
really
scenes.
That hard to just to cut her out though if they wanted to? I mean.
I don't know. I feel like that one was already in print.
Oh, it's like that
like,
even? Oh my God.
And then they were just like, all right, shelve that.
You got to find those.
It's with Batgirl.
Those are worth money.
It's with the Batgirl movie in like the WB vaults.
Unless they burnt them all somewhere.
Oh, man.
There was a Batgirl movie?
No, it got canned.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There was no Batgirl movie.
Think about that. The poor people that made that movie. They got a screening.
They made a movie.
They got a screening though.
Yes.
It's like they called it like a cemetery screening where like they just sit and watch what they're never and it goes in the vault and it's gone forever.
It's gone forever. That's
but
so
they get
crazy.
to see it once.
I guess that's bittersweet.
It is. It's like
you spent probably 8 months to a year out of your life building this thing that you had a passion for, and
you know what I feel
kind of taken away from you
feel
for
like
no
Sam
fault of your own.
Waving to Frodo as he goes to Valinor on the fucking boat forever.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, I'm gonna cry. Like,
Yeah.
bye. Anyway, yeah. So.
All right, I think we pretty much covered everything.
Did anything pop up on the GW
There
site?
are some things popping up. They announced a League of Votan army box. And a new character too. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, he looks like Space Gandalf.
Yes.
They
oh
did
my
mention
God,
Space
I
Gandalf.
can't. I might be paying $40K soon. We'll just put it that way. Because these remind me of my dwarves.
Yes, everybody come to RSG and kill those dwarves.
Bring it, boyo. Bring it.
And on that note,
Don't get me started. You're gonna say, wait, you'll see. Once my dwarves make a triumphant return in the
I'll be teaming up with Sylvaneth. Nurgle and Sylvaneth will be making a pact.
That's right. Bring it.
Bring down the beards.
Bring it. I have a lot of pent up positive die rolling energy.
Horrible.
The likes of which God has not seen.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are gonna be weeping. You're gonna be having nightmares of giant sixes just rolling and crushing your souls.
as long as it's not a D16 from Blood Bowl, I'll be okay.
Okay.
Well, that's coming too. Don't worry. Don't worry. I got my dwarves too. Yeah, the only reason I haven't played them because everybody told me not to. Nobody wants me to play the dwarves because they're like, oh, you're going to win 2-1 or you're going to win 1-0. I'm like, as long as both those answers are good because I'm winning. So I'm okay with that. Other than that, just a quick what's coming up in the store. I actually did just get the email today that the lockers have shipped, gentlemen. I don't know if I told you before the show. The lockers have shipped.
At this point, I need 3 of them.
Attention, the lockers have shipped. By the time this goes to airing, we might actually be assembling them.
And then you're going to work out how people get a locker.
Yeah, well, all pricing and everything like that will be obviously on the Discord. We don't have to announce that on YouTube. But that'll be on the Discord because we only have 27 lockers. It's not like a rent the locker from Wisconsin.
I'm in Wyoming, and I heard you got RFD
Joe Johnson.
Joe Johnson from Wisconsin.
Joe Johnson from Wisconsin wants a locker.
He gets a locker. No, he's not getting a locker.
He gets wheels of cheese.
Yeah, and I might have to limit some of you guys. They're getting ridiculous. Like people want to sublet them at this point. It's like crazy. I want 6 lockers, and then I'm going to charge $35 a locker because everybody's going to
I'm
want.
gonna sublet them off and like
Somehow we managed to
good
get
depender.
red and black ones. They look awesome.
I'm gonna put Magna racks in my lockers.
Magna rack.
And
They
then
are-
rent out shelves of the Magna racks.
They are basically Magna racks. They're already metal lockers.
you charge more for the top shelf, right? That's
Yeah.
what- the penthouse.
I was actually in the back with Waylon, and Waylon is not to bust up my friend, but he's a little vertically challenged compared to most. Okay, he's not 6 foot; he's under.
I didn't say it.
So
You said it.
I said, well, we were talking about it. We were joking about it. I said, wait, I don't think you want the top one because you might have to get a little step stool. He goes, oh, well, I'll just bring a step stool to get into the top locker.
Put it in your locker.
You put it in your locker. And he was like, we were joking. He was like, I want the middle ones. I'm like, how many do you want? He's like, I'll just take this many. He's like, he's got his. I'm like, that's like 6 lockers. You don't need 6 lockers. He goes, yes, I do. I bought a lot of stuff here, and I'm like, yeah, you did. So,
Well, I mean, it is like the bane of our existence is like how many bags do I have to come in with?
oh yeah, no.
How many
it's
bags
true.
have to sit on a table that
It's
I'm not
why
playing
we got
at?
the lockers.
So,
it's
yeah.
why we got the lockers. So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of hype. A lot of people talking about it. Let's see if we rent all the lockers out. If we do, that's just something else I put on the checklist when we move to a new store. and
RSG3.
RSG3 and we get a bigger store. We gotta have to. We gotta. You gotta stop that in my headphones. That sounds crazy. Sounds
my
like we're
God.
going through some kind of
Yeah, vortex.
orifice or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
RSG3.
The vortex to RSG3.
RSG3. That I mean, it's funny because we talk about the future and
Oh,
the
by the way,
community wants to do this.
RSG2 is a year old now, right?
Well,
Tomorrow.
in 4 hours, just over 4 hours, the RSG label will be
Officially
2
2
years
years
old,
old.
and RSG2 will officially be 1 year old.
Yeah, when
Happy-
this posted, when you see this video, it already have passed.
Things always happen for a reason. We are filming this podcast on the eve of our 2-year anniversary, and we did not truly plan it. It just kind of fell into place like that. So, again, we always talk about what the next thing will be, and the customers love it. Oh, Dan, you gotta serve beer, and you gotta have movies, and you gotta have coffee, and you gotta have this. I'm like, I could not imagine the store looking like it's gonna look like a freaking Costco or something by the time I'm gonna have to rent with all of these things that people want me to get into the store. I'm like, how are we gonna do this? I mean,
You need more room.
Yeah, but how much more can you really go? I mean,
It always like you said, it was always the right space. Like
Yeah.
you find a space and you go,
This is
feng
good.
shui the crap
Feng
out of
shui
this
the
place. You know
heck
what I mean?
out
Like
of it,
there's
yeah.
always got a space for something, but it's does it work? And
it's
We'll
crazy.
see.
It's crazy. All I know is we keep evolving. That's just why I always say change can be good, and when it comes to the store, it can be. Speaking of change, no Coke, Pepsi.
oh,
This goes out to Coca-Cola Company. You guys suck. All right, you guys are making my poor customers
and Pepsi stepped up.
very thirsty.
Pepsi stepped up
The
and they got-
choice of a new generation.
Yeah, they got it. They deliver it. It's there.
They deliver it. So just a shout out to the Pepsi boys for stocking our fridge with beverage. I know some of you don't like it, but it's better than nothing. Okay. That's
Yeah.
what we can do. So we got the lockers. We got Coke gone. We got Pepsi in. We got more pre-release this weekend. Actually, Domin area. It's booming. The spots are all filled. It's amazing.
We'll be
Again,
deep, when you splash us, we'll be
why
deep in the pre-release.
I'm
right,
actually
Saturday?
testing table space in the store currently to decide if I want to get 6-foot tables to go WPN Premium.
New
They
chairs?
get more slots because
New chairs.
we need new chairs for many reasons. One, because to go WPN Premium, which I want to do in the store, we need better, more comfortable chairs that don't have pinch points, so on and so forth. I want more chairs because we want bigger tables. We want bigger tables because we want more people. But that goes to getting a new store, and here we go again.
Yeah.
So it's just an over. But all these are first world problems for a store owner.
Cyclical.
Yeah.
So once again, I like to thank everybody because without the community, this doesn't happen. Granted, I may have started it, but you guys are finishing it.
Yeah.
Not just you guys here, but when I say you guys, I'm always talking to the community at RSG.
Our Discord, our massive,
We got
growing
almost
Discord.
1,400 people on a Discord. It just keeps growing. I don't even have words to explain how it happens. We've built a community. It continues to grow, and people are doing what I did to get them in to other people, and it just keeps growing. It's like a fungus.
Snowball.
It's like 40K players. They're a fungus.
40K works.
They just keep growing. They take over the whole store. They just leaked a new ship for the Hecaton Land Fortress. Oh, sorry. I can't. This is why I can't watch these things while we'll talk about that in the future.
Yeah, next week.
Next week.
Leagues of
Next
Votan.
week with Leagues of Votan review and
how they
discussion.
almost
And how
died.
no. They will live forever. Thank you as always. There are some other things coming besides the weekly roundup being back. I'm trying to scheme up ways to do maybe some breaks for Magic, breaks for just card games in general. We want to start doing box openings. I've actually been in touch with my Games Workshop representative. Hopefully, we could start getting maybe some early access stuff to open it up on and get people let us do our own little brand of sniffing books and sniffing plastic because I apparently people maybe I have a fetish of me sniffing boxes, so we're going to do that.
Printing ink is like just a unique aroma.
It's euphoric.
And we also talked about possibly doing a live show, maybe once a month, and you could people interact with.
We definitely want to do like a Q&A, almost live show. Let people ask a question either about us or the store or how we do things or the podcast or why we do things or what is coming out and what you're interested in coming out.
Seeing cards.
I'm sorry, I had a chuckle because Phil's head just started popping out behind the screen curtains last year, and it looks like it's just floating in the abyss.
Horrific.
That actually made me a little nervous, but so we got a lot going on. We have a lot of plans. We have plans within plans.
Yeah, very,
coming.
very, very scathing.
Yes. So again, special thanks to the community. Special thanks to the boys here for sticking with me as always. And there's more to come. There's a lot going on. Keep an eye on the Discord. Watch this podcast and listen weekly.
Yeah, make comments below about things you maybe want to talk about in the future. Or...
I always appreciate comments. How to fix things. Dan, you looked stupid doing this. Dan, you looked cool doing that. Dan, change your shirt. Dan, shave your head better. Whatever it may be.
Keep an eye on social media.
Keep an eye on social media.
A lot more posting
yes,
social
Dan.
media.
Yeah, Dan. Chris does look like an owlbear. Those comments. I want to hear all those comments. Yes, Sal talks about Star Wars too much, but he loves it. So he can talk about
Empire.
all.
I'm sorry.
He can talk about all he wants. So this is all good stuff. Join the conversation. Right on YouTube. Right in Discord. I'm always up for constructive advice or just general join in. We want to talk. We like talking to people. We like talking all the time.
You can tell
That's why we do this. I love to talk. People love to come to the store and listen to me get on my soapbox and preach. I don't know why, but it's fun. So I managed not to hit the microphone. I just want to add that element.
Doing good.
Before we close the show and say our usual things, I do want to make one personal comment to my brother Michael, who recently had some health issues. I am wishing him well. I love you, bro. Get home soon, and hopefully you can maybe join us for some geek
Get better
nerd
soon. Come roll some dice.
bullshit,
Yeah, buddy, get
and
better.
come still roll dice. So feel better, bro. With that, I will say as always, thank you for watching, and never stop gaming.
Keep rolling dice.
Always shuffle your deck well.
Ooh, I love it.
He doesn't. He's a cheater. Thanks all. Be safe.
Peace.